Hello everybody and welcome to the showdown finale of the Tour Championship, and welcome back to the session 2, as it is now going to be down to Watchalong to try and find a little bit of a comeback against the reigning world champion of Zhao. That seems like, for now, at least in the first session, he has been in a league of his own, and for Trump it is going to be quite difficult to try and overcome that 5-3 of a deficit that he finds himself with, but at least it could have been worse. The red that Zhao has missed in frame number 8, he could have been, well, making that story a lot more difficult for Trump, and the scoreline could have easily been 6 frames to 2. But of course, with that red to be missed into the right corner, it allowed Trump to still have a difficult red taken into the same pocket, the similar of the black that was missed previously by Zhao himself in one of the previous frames. Played a really difficult black as well into the corner and allowed himself to be set up for 28 points of a clearance up to the pink, and still managed to make a game out of it potentially. We'll have to wait and see if he's able to come back. For now, he does seem like he's got the tools to do it. He is the world number one. He has been finding himself in those positions consistently throughout all the finals that he had to play. But of course, the one that he's managed to win against Murphy was a very one-sided match, and of course the scoreline would not be repeated anyway, because Zhao has already managed to win 5 frames, whereas Murphy managed 4 at the end of the encounter. But the other matches, it probably does remind you of that Selby match in the Champion of Champions, because it's been a closely contested first session. Selby has managed to, sort of lose a touch a little bit, allowed Trump to be coming back from 5-3 down to 5 frames each, but in the end has gone on a huge run of winning, all the frames that he would have needed for him to be the champion of champions. And, Trump certainly is not going to have this campaign to be the same as the one that he had against Jack Lisowski, but could it be one of the best of those 32 potentially of the ranking titles that he is going to be looking at, or is it going to be the 6 of all the different trophies to add to the trophy cabinet of Zhao? And certainly a great introduction and a great demonstration to the world that he's still going to be the man to beat, and he certainly managed to recover with all the struggles of the form that he had previously at the starting point of the season. For now, it seems like he's going to be here to play. Still believing, and Trump here. Well, listen, do I believe in Trump? I do, but it's going to be a bit of a different story if he loses out the first frame of the second session, certainly, because it's not even going to be down to the scoreline. He needs to try, and of course, the only thing that he can do is try to force a better game out of himself. But ultimately, he does need for Zhao to try and have a few of those drops in pace. And as we've seen with Zhang Anda, John Higgins, and the Players' Championship and in the World Grand Prix, when he has managed to reach the finals of those ranking events previously, it doesn't seem like it gets any worse for him as he reaches closer towards the finish line. He only tends to get better. So, Trump certainly needs to step up his game. He's going to be on the positives, as I say. It could have been easily a whole different story, because 6-2 down, not playing well, being out of his depth on some of those occasions, you probably have to say it's going to be performance over. Now, he wins the 9 frame, all of a sudden he's right back into this, and of course it would be a little bit of a shift in momentum, because remember, the style of play that Zhao has, it requires him to be the one setting up the pace, which is why it is so good for him to be the one setting up the pace, being the front runner. It's never quite so nice for you to be playing catcher, because, if all of a sudden you get into the right gear, you feel like you're getting the traction, you may be able to get, a good sequence of frames going, but it's the starting point which is going to be difficult to find there for Zhao, and he just needs to be doing exactly what he has done in the first session. But sometimes it's not really going to be down to you, because some of those things he may be really, really good at those long raids, but not having the position on the collar. You just need to have a clean run of the ball for a couple of those frames, but same thing is going to be relevant to Trump as well, because he still finds himself as the man that has done it before, and purely from the body language, he seems like he doesn't really care as much, in terms of he realizes that he loses out on those frames that he can't do anything with, but he's always going to have a chance to try and come back later in the match. He's done that before against Mark Cullen, because remember, yes, he wasn't 5-3 down, but he was 5-4 down. I'm pretty sure he was 6-5 down as well, and then he just allowed himself to grow into the match, outplay Allen, and just have more of those moments of brilliance. And the closer he got to the final of that match, And, well, really, if you compare it to the match against Sean Murphy as well, it was a different encounter because of how close and how tense the match was. You clearly could see that it could have gone anywhere, even at the decider, but in the end, the second chance that Trump had available to him after Murphy wasn't able to take his opportunity, Trump was finally able to put that decider curse behind him, and if anything, that's why we were seeing the fist bump, probably for the first time this season there, from Trump, apart from maybe when he beat Murphy to win the first trophy of 14 months' time. Of course, the latest trophy edition before that point was the UK Championship win against Barry Hawkins last season. So now it's going to be down to try and add another trophy to the cabinet. For now, as I say, he's managed to have 31 of those wins at the 54 finals that he's played. So this is going to be number 55, of course, and let's see if it's going to be another addition towards the winning count, or is it going to be another loss for him in this season? He's had plenty of those. If you count the Champion of Champions, he's going to have 3 of those already, all of them, by the way, to come into the first part of the season, which is surprising because the point is Trump had a far stronger second end of the season, but, he put that down to the Masters where he lost out to John Higgins. Same has to be relevant to Players' Championship, exactly the same performance in each of those 2 matches, and then, of course, being eliminated in the first round of the World Grand Prix, and then you probably ran out of tournaments before you realise that the World Open, well, semi-final appearance again against Zhao, where he was probably playing one of his worst matches of the season when it comes to getting through to such a high stage. So, yeah, it's going to be down to see which one of the players performs better on the second session there, because one thing you have to give a little bit of credit to Judd Trump for, he has managed to give himself a chance that if he plays better in the evening, he's certainly going to be the man to try and stop and prevent from lifting the wonderful trophy, which is going to be positioned towards Zhao anyway, on the right-hand side of the arena, where he has been positioned throughout the entirety of today. So then, a couple of moments away from welcoming the players back onto the arena. So far, no controversial moments or anything like that. Haven't really seen anything that makes you feel that the pockets have been a little bit too wide or anything like that. It just seems like the equipment is there. The performance certainly has been there so far. And the standards and the players and the names, it's all been in the Manchester Central of the arena. Just hoping that, the final will go all the way. And it is going to be a great addition to at least make it as competitive as it was in the World Open, Players' Championship, or, as I say, World Open to an extent there. 3 latest tournaments that have been really entertaining there. You could make a sort of compliment about Welsh Open being in there as well, but, you feel like in that particular session, number 1, the damage was already done to Jack, who clearly has been over the top with landing the Home Nations bonus. And didn't really have his head in the final in the first session. He did manage to make a game out of it to an extent in session number 2, but in the end, it was way too comfortable for Hawkins, of course. To make it even worse for Jack, it was a match first to 9, with having a 7-1 of the advantage. He's not really going to be able to win 8 out of 10 frames, and that, of course, wasn't the case. But minor task for Trump is probably going to have to try and do something that Zhao has done on a couple of those occasions. Something that Trump has been struggling to do is get himself in a frame where his opponent doesn't have any points to be scored, or if he gets one of those foul shots or a red to be taken brilliantly well but doesn't land on the collar, it's going to be about as good as it gets for him. And then Trump is going to be the one to try and step up to the table, make sure he's the one to beat, and have the performance for him to remember. As we now welcome the referee, which only shows that the match is minutes away from being started. This should be some great thriller and action, but is it going to be Judd Trump, or is it going to be Zhao to be taking this one to go all the way? For now, it does seem like it is going to be down to the first couple of frames, as I say. But remember, that wasn't the case in session 1. Zhao got off to a really good start, winning 2 frames on the bounce. Trump responded really well with, finally thinking that he's going to be the one to try and up the pace of the match and do it very much until the end. That was far from the case in the following 3 frames ever since the intermission, and Zhao managed to take a commanding lead of 5-2, and it looked at that point Trump is going to have a really difficult line to be taking that frame number 8, but of course he was still able to do that after a couple of those unforced errors to come from Zhao himself. As now the stage is set, look at those reds, look at their colours, being lined up, and look at the cue ball being symmetrically lined up next to the brown. It is going to be the battle of the world champions. Of course, neither one of them have managed to win this wonderful trophy, with it being very much the best 12 players on the one-year list ever since its starting point in 2019, and now about to welcome the Cyclone, the world number 4, that is looking to try and cut down the gap towards Neil Robertson and try and make himself the man to beat at the Crucible. Zhao Xington is going to be a real threat for trying to make it in top 2, and the man that is about to stop him here, potentially, if he's going to be able to win 7 out of those 11 frames remaining, it is going to be a great chance for Zhao to try and remain at the top of the standing for at least another calendar year, because, you know, apart from the Saudi Masters Trophy, which will have plenty of those ranking points to try and defend on, he will be looking forward to try and get one of these biggest wins of certainly the season, but even potentially of his career when it comes to having this lad against him, Zhao Xington, as he now makes his way to the arena. So many of those finals already in the last couple of years, but is he going to be the perfect 4 since his return and the perfect 6 since his career has started? Now, as we welcome Zhao Xington to be once again at the right part of the table, pretty sure that's going to be to do with him being the 4th seeded player. But of course, you know, a bit of a weird selection in terms of on the one-year list is actually going to be higher seeded than Zhao, and that you didn't have to play the first round match, which could still be something for you to consider as Zhao makes his way onto the arena. And you know what, they called him the ace in the pack, and now he certainly wouldn't mind to have an ace in the pocket to try and get him off to a positive start and try and make sure if he gets hold of this frame and he gets hold of his game as well, he's never going to let go of it and just try and force Zhao Xington to be the one scraping for chances and making sure he is going to be struggling with his game to a certain extent, as now Trump is going to be welcomed to the arena. I feel like the players are going to be supported equally by the fans because of what we've seen in the first 8 frames, but slightly advantage always has to go towards Trump, from him, of course, being, you know, from England, and the tournament being played in there as well, but also the fact that he's behind, you know, even neutrals like me, for example, they would certainly like this match to be seen to try and go to the very top, and you never quite know, with the quality that both of the players possess, we could still see the best final of the season. You know, Trump has certainly played in one of those contenders. The Jack Lazowski match in the Northern Ireland was super close and had to go down to the wire, with even Trump having a couple of those chances in the decider, but whether it was pressure or he was an uncertainty, he wasn't able to defeat Jack. And now he's going to have a very different style of opponent in the opposite side of the table, and he's going to be the one to break off and try and get himself off to a positive start. So far, the only time where we've seen a chance to be given away was at the frame number 7, when it was Zhao Xington to have a good opportunity. Well, that cue ball is going to be placed into the yellow pocket for the 3rd time, by the way, in this match already, where you're going to see Zhao to have 4 points to be given away towards Zhao Xington. And I tell you what, you know, it's not really the start that Trump would have been looking for, but at least it could have been worse there had the cue ball gone all the way towards the, you know, the main pack of the Reds. But at the same time, the long red and the long power that Zhao Xington possesses. So starting new, well, it's not necessarily, but let's see if Zhao Xington is going to be able to take the red. Wow, he missed that one by a long distance. Certainly something that we haven't seen in the first couple of frames. But as I say, it's only the starting point. Although, I mean, remember the cue ball that Trump has dropped into the green pocket. It was in the first frame as well somehow. You know, certainly manages to have a bit of a deja vu there. But, you know, Zhao Xington, of course, has gone on a fantastic break at that point. Allowed him to have a 64 points of a lead. And in the end, that certainly was the foundation for him to be taking the frame from there. So, a bit of a small positive, but still, it's going to be heading in favour of Zhao, the fact that he was able to get away with such a horrendous break-off shot. And, you know, he caught the Reds pretty well, but it just was the power that he's absolutely hammered that cue ball towards the top end of the table. And as I say, had it not been stuck into the yellow pocket, it would have been a very long journey home in relation to the bottom part of the table. Once again, you can see Zhao Xington, after him playing a bit of a bad shot, not saying blaming on the cue, but having a bit of a concerned look at his tip. Trump now is going to have a chance of trying to cue this one nicely. And so far, he's been able to sort of, I wouldn't say he's been able to pot all of them, but he's managed to sort of maintain a 50-50 of a pot success shot on the long reds. And it does look like if it was a 50-50, it's about to go down to 42% or something like that, because it will be a red miss to the corner. But as you can see, the red that he's missed coming into the open play. Let's see what Zhao is going to have available to him. He's about to have a red plays next to the black. Is he going to be able to drop this one in? He will. So now, the first two chances weren't taken. Well, the first chance wasn't taken by Trump. The second chance now is going to be taken by Zhao, as he played a really good red into the corner. Now allows himself to have a little bit of a distance in between the cube and the black, but at the same time, I was about to say able to recover, but not necessarily, because he's about to have another red to be positioned into the right corner here. So what's it going to be in relation to those reds that he can take? And yeah, I feel like he's not really going to have to go for the green pocket here, especially with the cue ball being so awkwardly placed. But, with him to be the king of the positional play, it's a bit of a weird situation that he finds himself with. He is going to have to go for a shot into the green pocket. And I'll tell you what, it's anything but cue this one nicely. And he was a mile away. It's really optimistic of yourself and really naive, I would say, to try and ask so much of your cueing. He's absolutely hammered that cue ball to be heading towards the side cushion, because he couldn't, get himself onto the collar the other way. For now, it certainly seems like the positive start for Trump in relation to Xington, but what's he going to be in relation to himself? And he now finally is able to take the red of his own. Yeah, certainly nothing like that we've seen in the first session at any point of it, and probably something that we haven't seen from Zhao Xington in, probably the entire tournament, where he's been missing 2 out of 4 reds that he's taken, but also the way that he forced himself to be taking that miss, as Trump doesn't seem like he's going to like the cueing on the white, and he's going to ask the referee to clean both the white and the black here. So whatever it was, didn't seem like he got the contact that he wanted, and to be fair, he was only asking to clean the black. So that clearly feels like it's not going to be anything on the cue ball that is going to be disrupting his play, but that right now needs to take this red nicely into the corner. And well, he's clearly been playing for green here, because he can't, surely he wasn't playing for the brown because of how tight the angle would have been, but also how close he is to not seeing enough of the brown. I mean, if you can see enough of it now, you may as well take it, but it certainly doesn't look like the intention was to be there with the cue ball. But right now, take what you've got. And he seems to have got that cue ball to be kind of nicely towards the lower part of the table. So, as I say, for now, it's exactly what he needed there. Maybe the second chance could have been taken from the first time, but for the factor of Zhao Xington not taking 2 of those chances already, as I say, that's something that you only get at Easter, because there must be a holiday for Zhao Xington to be on, for him to make 2 mistakes and only scoring 12 points. And, of course, 8 of those were the only ones that he scored. 4 of the others came from that cue ball to be positioned very close to the yellow pocket, and of course too close for comfort. Dropping in, didn't take the first chance away, was able to take the red away with the second opportunity, but as I say, only able to score 8 points out of it with a red and black combination. And the positional shot that he's played for the second red, whichever one it was, he couldn't really get onto the black from the red to be taken into the corner, so had to play it in the green pocket. But anything but a straightforward shot that he's taken, especially with how much power he was trying to put in behind the cue ball. Got nowhere near potting the red. And now, 17 points later from Trump, he's about to be playing the black for the first time, and making sure he can try and take those easy 3 reds away, get himself some sort of advantage to try and take. If of course, he's going to have to try and send that cue ball towards the main pack of reds, unless he's going to, do the very much Trump technique and try and take those loose reds till the end, which, from the shell of those reds that you can see, they're going to be looking at, if you look towards the left middle, they do like a bit of a bottom part of a triangle, but of course it's going to be anything but nice for him to try and take those reds away from the shell. But for now, it seems like he doesn't really need to worry about it, because very few seconds taken in between those shots, and at the same time, he's about to play for 1 more of those reds. Needs that cue ball to keep rolling, and he's going to be fine here. As long as he wasn't going to be fully alongside or slightly lower than the red, this is perfect for him, because it's way too close for him to be saying that this is a difficult shot, but also that red is going to be heading towards the right corner. At the same time, that cue ball should be played perfectly towards the blue, and as I say, this is going to be the trademark shot of Trump. It wasn't really trademark result, but I'll tell you what, it could have been a lot worse with how close the cue ball was to the section of the blue and the pink, it seemed like both of them are going to be playable, and the blue is going to be way easier for him to take into the yellow pocket. Of course, it was the shot that he has missed in the first frame, but, he's going to have, for now, early doors, but it does seem like he's very confident with his cueing. It doesn't seem like he's bothered about the first mistake that he had. And, he does seem like he's about to take the blue away nicely, and as soon as he brings that cue ball to me, lined up at the lower end of the table, he should be lined up for a very simple execution of the first frame, and get himself, as I say, with only 1 frame in it. The sequence of Zhao to be winning 3 frames on the bounce is about to be, limited to a minimum from the benefit that he's going to receive from that. And once again, just carefully trying to take this rest shot, make sure that, the cue ball is going to be heading past those reds. And, well, I kind of said that as he was playing the shot, so I won't really take the credit for it, but it was a shot that he had to consider, because with all the respect, even though it was a rest shot, he needed to make that red into the corner. It was a lot more difficult for him to miss. And he has managed to counter the cue ball exactly into those reds, so now it's going to be down to potentially taking the yellow. And, well, with the way that he was about to prepare his backswing, I genuinely thought he was taking that on. I would have said that was reckless, but of course he was only playing a safety shot and using the yellow for the reason of him trying to put that colour safe and make sure he's going to have 2 of those backup points. And it's not too bad there, 47 points at the start of the frame, but ultimately 35 as points advantage over Zhao, and Zhao is about to have 6 of those reds. 5 to be in the open play, 1 more to be at the right side cushion, and then at the same time he's about to have the yellow, which Trump has managed to put onto the left part of the table. But look at that. That is absolutely unplayable there, because of course Trump had full advantage of playing this safety shot. He put that cue ball to be so close to the ball cushion, but still Zhao somehow is saying that try and keep me out of this red and try and play safe against me. This is what you're going to get. That was brilliant there from Zhao, and he's about to have the easy sequence of potentially 5 reds there to be taken, which will get him right back in this frame. And ultimately may even actually find himself a couple of points ahead there before he gets through to the difficult part of those, a red and the yellow to be positioned on the opposite side of the table. But at the same time, it felt like the red can be pushed towards the right middle with how close it is. The yellow is going to be a bit of a different story, where you probably will need the shot from the blue. Not even the bowl colors really, with how far down the cushion the yellow is going to be positioned. So probably the blue, and just trying to make the cue ball to travel all the way to the top end of the table. And now he's about to finish the easy 3 reds away, get himself transition onto the main part of the table, and have a red to be taken into the right middle. So, as I say, it doesn't really matter in terms of points. He is going to need every single one of those reds, as well as the yellow. Big frame this, 6-3 or 5-4, big difference, huge difference. And, it looked like Trump was actually going to be the one to try and make it pass without significant issues, but of course unable to finish the job away with the colour misplacement from the positional play. And now it's going to be down to Zhao to try and respond, making a break of 32 points now with the black. And I'm not too sure whether he was trying to make contact with the red onto the right side. He doesn't want to be straight alongside this red, and it seems like, well, from his body language, it doesn't seem like the red is going to go past the brown, which leaves him probably having to play a safety shot out of this one. If he takes this into the middle, he doesn't really need to be doing that, because he will leave himself only having 1 shot to try and disrupt the other red. He's taking it anyway. Don't really understand the value of playing that shot. And wow, that is so silly from the world champion, because he's left that red to be over the pocket, and now he was never going to have a chance to try and get, well, anywhere next to the last of those reds. What was the value in taking the red into the middle if he knew he was leaving the cue ball nowhere to be seen on the colour? Because surely Trump is going to be able to pop the red and then get himself to be the one that can try and cannon the red into the open play. Whether he's going to be able to do that twice with the yellow as well, but it's going to be none of Zhao business, because he's not going to be the one doing it. And hopefully Zhao the future World Slam champion like England or Sullivan. We'll have to wait and see on that one. So for now, Trump is, he's got a bit of a decision to make here himself, because he's going to be down to if he can see enough of the pink to try, well, the angle seems to be way too big for try and make it into the red without touching the black block cushion, and probably way too small if you're going to try it with black block cushion, because it simply won't have the pace for that cue ball to travel so far. So I genuinely won't be surprised if Trump decides to bring the yellow into the open play, play the cue ball to be staying in behind the blue and the pink, and it does seem like it's exactly the thing that he's doing, because he realizes that, you know, the reason why he was putting, wow, it's a miscue and it's a huge jump from the cue ball, so he certainly needs to be taking care of that tip. Not sure he's managed to do the work. He certainly brought the yellow to be in open play, but I'm not too sure if the cue ball is still going to be snookered. Wow, that was a huge jump from the white. And sometimes it can do real damage to the tip, but the real damage to the table is that Zhao Zitong is going to be able to, you know, play the red simple into the, well, pretty much the side of it. Was looking for a snooker himself, but hasn't managed to find it. So the 9th frame is about to be a very similar frame in relation to the first one, because it's been lengthy, but at that point, of course, the last red of the battle wasn't going to last very long, because Trump was looking for those 3 snookers. As soon as he managed to find the 3rd one, Zhao managed to snooker him back, and you know, with Trump unable to find his way out of the snooker, he found himself with you know, a red to play. Zhao was taking it, and at the same time managed to land the first frame with Trump not coming back to the table. Could it be the same thing here? The Chinese weak and the shot choice attack this side, not up to the... Well, the thing about Chang Minyu, Zhao Xingtong, and Weezer, and Si Jiawei to an extent, is all 4 of them seem to have such a brilliant part of an A game, but, you know, you feel like sometimes they overrate themselves massively in the way that, you know, they take the shots that you shouldn't be taking on as a professional. But even then, I mean, it wasn't the brilliant value that Zhao Zitong was going to get. It was a red that, you know, he could have taken on if, you know, he managed to put the cue ball to be placed perfectly on the yellow, as if it was positioned where it is right now, over the yellow pocket there. Nowhere near the red. If he was missing that to the front jaw, and then that would have been a risk-free shot. That's absolutely fine there. But, I mean, for you to get the reds to eliminate it when you're going to be 4 points behind, don't really see a reason behind it, apart from just trying to get it for the sake of it. But of course, it's something that you can afford to be doing technically at 5-3 up. And that's something else that you can be doing, is playing a double now into the middle. Is it going to be something that Zhao Zitong considers? Looks like something that he was thinking about for a second or two, but in the end decided to try and play it safe. And he was close to trying to bring the ping into the open play. Would have been really nasty snooker for Trump to try and get out of. Especially probably using the right side cushion there to avoid any chance of giving a free ball away. Now it's going to be down to play the cue ball to the top end of the table. Make sure that red finds himself past the brown and green without touching them. And it seemed like he's trying to use the green as the cover point. And I'll tell you what, he hasn't done that one too badly. But is it going to be a chance away to Zhao Xingtong? And the face that he's making is... potentially could be, why don't I try and pot this one in and then position the cue ball towards the black, so that if I miss it, then the red shouldn't be staying over the pocket with the way that I intend to try and play this shot. So for now, he could always play a cross double, but, you know, it's a simple solution, which, you know, Zhao Zitong doesn't always go for. He's gone for the long reds, and, well, I'm not sure he's gone for the long red because of how far I missed this one by. So, yeah, to be fair, he's planted that cue ball really nicely onto the cushion, so... You know, it feels like, you know, it looked at first that he was trying to take this one into the corner, but I'm surprised that he refused a cross double because, you know, he could have potentially guided that red off the left and the right side cushion to be at the middle of the table, which, you know, if the cue ball would have been positioned next to the yellow pocket, he could have easily brought either one of those 2 colours into the open play, but also he could have got a really difficult snooker to be lined up if the red and the cue ball would have been in behind the yellow. Hope not the case. And, I don't know, it's going to be down to trying to go for a red into the, probably just down the table there, because I was thinking about trying to leave it at the top end of the table, which to be fair, is the exact thing that Zhao Xingtong has done, but surely you would have had more of a chance to control the cue ball position a little bit better and try and use those 4 colours of blue and pink to be at the middle of the table, as well as having the brown and green forming a nice little triangle there for you to try and get in behind of either one of those 4 colours. And, well, Trump is going to be really fortunate with that one, because I don't know if it was a mistake and as a miscue, but he got a huge double kiss on the red after being so close onto the ball cushion, and he's probably about to have this red lined up as a double there. As I said, the previous time I was mentioning it, the cue ball was going to be dropped for the black ball cushion. This time, he's got the ball cushion to provide the yellow. He's gone for a double. He seems to have missed it. Has he missed it? No, he hasn't. Well, got that one wrong, but it was a brilliant double at the end. I don't know why. It seemed like it was going to be way too close to the front jaw. He got that one cleanly into the corner, and now Zhao Xingtong is going to be only a couple of shots away from making this to go the distance. And of course, the bottom line is going to be Judd Trump is going to find himself 6-3 down. Probably something that he deserves to be after, having such wobbly two frames out there. But whether he deserves it or not is going to be another matter. But the Zhao Xingtong is going to run away with it. It will be down to him, because that was opportunistic. But Trump only has himself to blame. Not taking the chance previously when he had that 40 points of a gap or something. Wasn't able to play that red shot well enough, didn't get on the colour, had to play it safe, and in the end, even putting one of those reds and the yellow onto the side cushion wasn't enough. And it is going to be down to Zhao Xingtong to have the last laugh, it would seem, because he is going to be lined up for a frame ball on the frame ball that will get him onto the pink here, which, the blue is going to be the one which creates a little bit of a problem. But look at that, taken calmly as you like, and Zhao Xingtong is going to be lined up for the pink, the easiest frame ball that you can dream around, and it is going to be, at the end, a break of 23 points by Zhao Xingtong, and he was anything but comfortable, but in the end, there's probably going to be a revenge for the 8th frame. Zhao Xingtong certainly didn't deserve to be losing both of them, and the bottom line is, Judd Trump didn't deserve to win both of those as well. For now, snookers are not amazing. Well, yes, they weren't, but, it was in the end, it was enough of Zhao Xingtong to... He clearly got himself way too comfortable in that position, but, so many of those mistakes from Trump. I'm not sure if I'm picking on him, but that red shot is absolutely dreadful. The fact that he wasn't able to, use that red to be over the pocket and try and find that cue ball. Yes, it was a huge target of those 3 reds to be positioned quite awkwardly, but, at that point, how on earth are you going to be losing a frame from there? But even since that point, having a miscue on the yellow, not snookering Zhao Xingtong, allowing him to be the one that has got the initiative of the frame, and ultimately it seems to have cost him the double kiss. That was the one that set Xingtong up with double to be taken into the middle. By the way, what a double it was, brilliant. Had absolutely no worry about it, because he was getting that cue ball to be lined up for the ball cushion, which, Trump was the one with his miscue that put the yellow into that place. So it seems like he only has himself to blame, and the only slight positives that he can take from frame number 9 is that Zhao Xingtong is playing far from ideal snooker and certainly has dropped down a gear or two, but Trump, still somehow manages to lose that frame, which I'm still a little bit baffled by how he's managed to do that. They were playing tactician, but without stronger snookers, no real hiding balls. Yeah, it was down to just who was able to take their chances better. And listen, Zhao Xingtong had so many of those, even at the starting point of a frame. But to be fair, you have to give him credit for that fantastic long red that he's taken, which made the comeback for the frame possible. Straight after, Trump played a really good safety shot. You can't even blame him for that one. It was just too good at that point, but you can't say that this frame could not have been won by Judd Trump, as it is. It is going to be Zhao Xingtong that finds himself winning yet another frame and looking nicely for a potential another upset in frame number 10. Is he going to be another Selby in the Champion of Champions, or is he going to be another Selby in the UK Championship? Because for now, it does seem like it won't be another Murphy or even a Jack Lisowski in the Belfast. Trump doesn't seem comfortable at all, and even when he is, sometimes, as I said, at the point where he was taking the blue on the previous shot up towards the red, I just said he looks so comfortable and so at ease. Maybe it was a little bit too much at ease, because whatever it was, 35 points ahead, 75 points to the table at that point, with the yellow and the red to be safe. How on earth has he managed to lose that frame with all the chances that he had? Well, it's going to be down to me to analyse. He needs to try and get that one out of his brain box, and certainly just try and make his mind completely empty at what's happened in the past, and just take it as one shot at a time. By the way, fantastic break off from Zhao Xingtong, as he puts the cue ball to be pretty much in behind the green, but also having a couple of those loose reds to be getting in the way potentially. Don't really like that attempt from Trump. Honestly, that was something that I'd never actually I'd witnessed from Trump. Is that going to be a strong statement, or was that resignation later, or P45 there from Trump? I mean, what was that? Whatever it was, Zhao is going to have an easier red to be taken, but what on earth was that attempt from Trump? I mean, look at this. He's played that with so much power. He got the pink to be on the halfway. He nearly potted the pink into the left middle, and then he left an easier red to be taken for Zhao. I mean, that's certainly not something that I was going to see, but, you know, it was going to hurt. Inevitably it was, but it wasn't like he had, the snooker gods to blame. It wasn't like he had the weather to blame. He had only himself to blame for not taking his chances. But now, I mean, that was dreadful. By far the worst that we've seen in terms of the effort there from Trump. And the price, well, I'll tell you what, he's about to come to a restaurant and he's about to be charged full price for this one because Zhao Xington is going to be coming back at him. He clearly would have seen that, and his brain doesn't need any more variables to be added, but he's certainly going to try and use that as an extra point of, I can't possibly lose the frame from here. I mean, I'm still baffled by what I've seen there from Trump because he managed to put the pink save, but it looks like he's just left the door open and, Zhao Xington has walked in there without needing a second invitation. Indeed, this foul was a huge disaster. Well, that was absolutely dreadful in terms of, I'm not even going to say the consequences, but he looks at it, 5 seconds, he plays that one straight away, which is not a good sign anyway, but with the power that he played that, I mean, come on. Surely there was another effort for you to try and do it. I mean, I have to watch it back because you couldn't actually analyse the situation that he found himself because he took 2 seconds and then he's played the shot in, caught the ping straight into the heart, and it wasn't like he had, 15 reds to try and find with. He knew there were loose reds at the right and the left-hand side of the pocket. That's why the shot was difficult, but, he needs to try and find a little bit of help from Zhao Xington, and he may have got it, because where the pink spot is, the cue ball is going to be perfectly alongside it onto the right side cushion, playing for the blue or the black. I genuinely think the blue is the easier, but he's about to take the black away. This is going to be difficult. Wow, that was clean. Wow, that was clean there from Zhao Xington. And, 7-3. It is certainly going to be another Selby in the making of Champion of Champions. But, wow, that was super disappointing to be seeing. And it looks like it's only going to get worse because Zhao Xington, the man that doesn't forgive those type of errors, and he doesn't forgive that kind of attitude. I will be looking to, if it is to be the end, and for now, in this particular frame, he says that it seems to be the way, I will be looking to the explanation from John because, whether something was itching, whether he was, very nervous or whatever it was, but I'll be looking forward to the explanation. But for now, Zhao Xington is about to find himself in probably the most comfortable position that he has been up until probably the resolution of the frame number 8 because he had a 5-2 of a lead. It looked like it was impossible for him to miss out on the frame number 8 as well, which would have left him with a 6-2 of the advantage. But remember, 6-2 is nowhere near as comfortable as 7-3 because you get yourself one frame closer to glory. And for now, he's marching on with a break of 41 points and having 47 points as the advantage. Average shot time, it won't really tell you the whole story, but basically 19 seconds for Xington and 26 seconds for Judd. Of course, that will be heavily compromised by the factor of him playing way more of those shots of the table time that he's going to be getting whilst being on the break. He's about to have another red. Ooh, that has gone wrong. Wow, that is surprising. But, I mean, this is going to be another interesting point to be saying because it's a very similar situation to the one that Trump found himself in the previous frame, where he has gone wrong for him midway through the break. At that point, Trump had 35 points, 75 at the table, 35 as the advantage. 55 as the advantage and 91 at the table is probably going to be the equivalent of that. By the way, I don't know how... Oh, yeah, it's 49 points, isn't it? Because he had, the break of previous of those. So, yeah, it's going to be just a safety shot there to play from Zhao Xington. But, yeah, just look at the body language there from Trump because it's certainly something that I'm going to keep an eye on. And these short selections are something that you should certainly keep a close track of as well. Xington followed the game as it never existed. Yeah, he's gone, I think. This was a must-win frame for Zhao. Well, listen, the only positives that you can find is that Zhao wasn't able to take this frame over the line, which I'm still not sure how. Because I'll be honest with you, before he was taking the contact onto those reds, I actually thought they were set up perfectly well, but obviously just, didn't read the room too well, because it seemed like he played the cannon exactly in the way that I would have played it in a fantasy world if I had the perfect control of the cue ball. But it just didn't seem like he got the traction to be getting that cue ball away from those reds. Got stuck in the middle, and wasn't able to get through for a shot into the left middle or the right middle at the same time. For now about to take another red towards the right corner, but doesn't want that one to be left too close to the corner. And I'll tell you what, this is going to be a chance for Chomp. I'm not sure it's the one that you should take, but normally this would be such a great opportunity there for Judd, even being 55 points behind. But this is going to tell you a story there, because even if he gets this red in, which I still feel like is unlikely, and he hasn't, I was looking at the position on the colour, and the position on the colour would not have been there either. He would have been horribly positioned on the brown, but to be fair, with the kiss that he got on the green, may have been placed a little bit better. But still, now it's going to be down to Zhao Ting to come back to the table. And yes, his long rate doesn't seem like it's easy, but with the way he's been queuing those, he can perfectly get his hand on the table. This is going to be either front jaw to be, or he's going to be in the back of the pocket. And he was slightly in the front jaw, but it still was at the back of the pocket. Brilliant shot there. Nicely taken from Zhao Ting, and he's about to, surely, and realistic hopes for Trump. There's always going to be mathematical hopes, but for now, 7-3 down. I mean, good luck trying to recover from that. It's going to be a dreadful start to the second session, and exactly the opposite of something that Trump would have been looking for, and certainly would have needed. Hope Trump recovers from that. Well, listen, he's played a bit of a half-hearted safety shot, and then Zhao's played a safety shot which wasn't great either, but, the fact that Trump wasn't able to get even close towards that red at the right corner, of course you're going to have the risk of leaving the cue ball alongside the ball line. This is exactly what you play those reds for. And now it's going to be a frame ball lines up in no time at all. 5-3 of a gap is about to be turned into 7-3 there for Zhao Ting. And look at that frame time being just over 7 minutes. And all of that because the Jut Chomp clearly, to me, and you can say I'm wrong, couldn't be asked to figure out the way to try and get past the ultimate snooker of the opening shot there off the frame. And that was something that has led to the great point of 55 advantage. But this is exactly something that you feel like Trump should have been the one to be doing in the previous frame. And if he'd done that, you feel like the story would have been a little bit different. But in the end, it is what it is. And Zhao Ting seems like he is going to be running away with it. 140 to win the final before the second session has started. I feel like he is going to be getting himself into 110 of a zone. And right now, just have a look to see. It is going to be 1.07 there. Huge turnaround of the events. And certainly not the way that Trump or his fans will have liked to see. As I said, this was the snooker that I expected to be seen in the first session, but the exact opposite of what I thought would be seen from Trump into the second session, because how on earth has he allowed Zhao Ting to outplay him completely in pretty much every single one of his departments, and still allow him to have such a good run towards the break of 35 points. It won't be enough for Zhao Ting to make a century break, but of course it will still be enough for him to try and keep Judge Trump at his seat. And now 3-5 has turned into 7-3, and forget about that 8 frame in the first session. Now it's going to make absolutely no difference, because Zhao Ting is only going to be 3 of those away from making the ultimate title, and no one can ever take it away from him that he's managed to do it against the man that has been the world number 1 for more than 2 seasons, and now he finds himself absolutely as a sitting duck, literally, because of how much he's done in that previous frame, but also how many problems he's created for himself. Zhao Ting, take a bow though. When you have your opponent not playing well, the easiest thing for you to do is to mess it up. He hasn't done that. He's gone for the kill, and it seems like he's certainly going to have one hand on the trophy, and another one is going to be approaching very fast. Listen, I feel like Trump is going to do really well if he, keeps that intermission at 8-4 down, because it's a really similar position to the one that he found himself losing 3 frames on the bounce with. As I say, so close at some point to be winning that first frame, but now it seems like that frame is going to be long gone, and so is Jot Chom and his chances. And can't see it, as if he loses this one, he needs to win more. It's 2 frames to 1 now, Jot to win. Can't see it unless Boy goes to what? Yeah, but I mean, we've seen that from Zhao Xington, but honestly, for Trump, I feel like the 1.07 there probably tells you the story. He's got no chance of winning this one for me because of different reasons. He needed to step up to the table badly. And by the way, remember, like, if you're going to be doing analysis of this second session there, how painful is it going to be rewatching that first frame? Two horrible misses there from Zhao Xington. And then at the starting point of it, and by that point where Trump wasn't able to take the break to the way that it should have ended, with him winning the frame comfortably, Zhao Xington managed to step up his game to a whole new level, jump through 2 or 3 gears, and find Trump to be the one having a miscue, having a double kiss, and Zhao Xington was the one clearing up the table, going for all the difficult raids, taking a double, and making a total clearance to make it past Trump, and, certainly doesn't need a reminder what happened in the 10th frame. What's it going to be? Is it going to be another Murphy and Trump of a final? But now, roles reversed, with Zhao Xington to be the one probably giving Trump his biggest defeat of the season, because as much as you can say he's lost so many of those deciders, tell me the point of the season where Trump has lost by more than 2 or 3 frames away. Decider, well, of course, the final against Mark Selby by 10 frames to 5, but right now, it seems like he's going to be a little bit further out of the picture as well, because at least he had 5 frames to speak for himself. Right now, he seems to be a mile away from having those 5. So needs to try and get his break-off sorted. He seems to have done that. And it's a really good break-off shot, to be fair. Really similar to the one that Zhao Xington had in the previous frame. And, I mean, when I say similar, I genuinely mean really, really similar. But, probably in fairness to Trump, the reason why he had to play that shot from 2 cushions was because of the reds to be opened up slightly more from the right-hand side. And Zhao Xington will just about be able to see the edge of those reds, push it towards the left corner. Doesn't want it to be too close, though. And it seems like he's got it over the pocket there. So a bad shot there from Zhao. But let's see if Trump is going to be able to do anything with it. Because for now, the answer to the question in the previous couple of frames certainly has been no. You get the red in, but you always expect that to happen. Now, is he going to have a chance for the yellow? Well, just about going to be lined up for the yellow, but as I say, that was rather a costly mistake there from Zhao, but we're about to find out how much of it is actually going to be down to Trump to make it a costly mistake, because if he makes it back to 5-7, fair play, you are going to be just about back in this one, but yeah, like I thought, he misses the yellow straight away. Unfortunately, this is only going to get worse until a huge turning point, which will have to be from Zhao Xington himself. For now, it does seem like one of the biggest defeats in the final is about to be given here. Trump doesn't seem like he's got it, and I said he was playing far from ideal snooker so far in the morning, but if that was bad, then this one is difficult to describe. And look at that for contrast. Brilliant red to be taken. This is what you want in the final from Zhao Xington. And certainly, getting a little bit of a lucky kiss towards the black. Forced that one to be heading towards the right corner, but at the same time, to be further away from the cushion. And if anything, it looks like he's going to be putting himself into trouble by playing the shot with too much spin and power. And certainly, how well has he managed to get that cue ball to be away from the black ball cushion, about to be lined up for the reds. Listen, what are we saying here? 10-4? 10-3? I mean, I don't know if I'm overreacting, but that horrible frame, I thought 6-3 down was bad enough, but I mean, he wasn't going to get better from that ping that he absolutely hammered with full power, but he can't be doing that against Zhao Xington, and he certainly will feel like, if there was going to be any sign of pressure at the frame number 9, it's all going to be long gone until Trump is able to win at least 3 frames at a bounce, and it seems like he's not going to be anywhere near touching this one, because look at how well Zhao Xington managed to separate those reds away with a single shot, and look at the way that he's just played this shot here, from the left side over to the blue, fantastically well. Even if he's going to be straight, he's going to have so many of those reds to try and position himself for, but of course he's not going to be straight, and he's about to hammer that cue ball slightly closer towards those reds, and making sure that those centimeters are going to count for him. And the black, he's going to be about as far away from those reds, so nothing is going to be getting in the way of the cue ball, and it's about to be a potential of a very quick session as well, with how quickly those frames seem to be flying through. 40 minutes in, by the way, 2 frames finished. And a great chance of this one not to be too long either. Again, a disastrous shot leaving Zhao in the scoring zone. Yeah, I wouldn't say this one was about as bad, but you could always see him missing out the yellow. And of course, the problem when you do it off the collar is you're trying to play the cue ball into those reds. But the worst thing for Trump, and it is going to be purely speculation, so don't quote me on this, but if he makes that yellow in, you know the red that Zhao has taken into the corner? For me, 5 times out of 10, Trump doesn't make it either because of how badly he's playing. And you need to be up at your best in the final. And for now, it seems like it's going to be one of the worst performances of the season. You know when I said he was out of order against, well, not out of order, but playing horribly badly against Chuchaya in the semi-final? Well, this is going to be close, but I'm not sure genuinely of what was the worst performance. Because we've seen, I probably have to say this one has been worse. Honestly, because at least he's been showing a couple of those frames against Zhao where he had a really good break. You may feel like he's back. Has he had a frame like this here? A break of 61 points in the, third or fourth frame probably says it all. That's his highest that he's managed in the opening 10.5 frames. And Zhao Ziton absolutely going to be laughing his head off because, everyone will say it's about to be his, most difficult final of the season. I was saying that. I was the one saying, I can't believe you're writing Watchalong off there. I feel like he's going to be the one to challenge, and Zhao Ziton is the one that needs to deliver. Well, things that didn't age well. He said it's too flat, but the tip kind of explained all this. Well, listen, I'm sorry, but if Trump is going to be down on his tip, why on earth would you replace it after his match with Robertson, is first of all. And then if you replace it before match with Robertson, then you have to put it down where was the brilliance of the first 3 frames? That was... forget about the final of Zhao Ziton. I'm not sure if it was against Higgins or it was against Zhang where he made basically 3 centuries there. That was just about as well from Trump in the first 3 frames against Robertson. 87, 94 and 113. Are you mad? Why would you replace the tip after a performance like this? If you're not happy but it's working well, Mark Williams did it better than anyone. If I'm playing badly but I'm winning, absolutely I'll take that over playing well and not winning over those matches. And if he's done that before his match with Robertson, then he can't really use that as an excuse because the tip clearly was working on the day before that. So, sometimes it is going to be one of those days, but it doesn't really help when you have got the attitude of, I'm going to keep up bringing up the 10th frame there, what happens, because you can understand the frustration of losing out the frame of 9 out there, but it certainly does. It's not going to look good for Trump, but he may have something else that we don't know about. He may not be feeling 100%. You never quite know, but unfortunately, it better be the case because apart from that, it doesn't seem like a performance for you, certainly, to have any positive say on. And full credit, by the way, to Zhao Ziton because, he can be very harsh on Trump, and I don't know if I have been, but you have to give out a massive shout out to this young man. Turned 29 a couple of years back, a couple of days ago, and now he's about to be lined up for early frame win. There you go, a little bit of a jinx. As just as I say, he's about to be lined up for a frame win. He'll have to be taking a double here once again. I don't know what on earth he's done there, but yeah, clearly just underrun for the cue ball. He was playing for one of those lowest reds. He's not going to get it, so a double. I kind of really badly want him to miss and Trump still to come back into this one, but I honestly can't see this one happening because it's such an easy position. If he misses this double, probably the only reason for him not to go for it, if he misses the double, it should be such a gimme for Trump to come back and clear up the table, but I'm not even going to sure that he's going to be the one to do it. And of course, if Zhao Ziton needs to go for a double right now, he can't miss anything. So what's it going to be? He's gone for the double, he's missed it. Where's the red going to finish? To be fair, the clear up that I mentioned about was always going to be down to where the red is going to finish, and he's finished somewhat safe. He played all week with, well, come on, such a good performance against Allen at the end, such a brilliant, intense match with Murphy, fantastic performance against Robertson, 6-0 win, probably the best 3 frames that we've seen of him in that match against Robertson, something that, individually, I'm not sure I've seen a match for it in terms of the first 3 frames of the match, and you played just about as well. That was pure brilliance from Trump, but it was 48 hours ago. It seems like it was 48 years ago because he's about to push the ping towards the left middle because it's a smart shot, to be fair. which allows to have those reds to be lined up even better, even though he sacrificed the pocket for it. But yeah, I wouldn't really be surprised if Zhao goes for the shot into the yellow pocket anyway, despite having that cue to be about as close to the black ball cushion as Trump could have possibly had. So in the end, he's just going to be forced to try and make contact with those two reds right in the face, roll up to them, which once again leaves the Trump to be the one that is setting up the pace to the battle. By the way, I mean, I honestly hope, despite everything that I said, he is going to be able to come back, but you never seem to see those type of performances to be overturned, especially against someone as dangerous as Zhao Xingtong. We'll hear later, I guess. He should have stuck the old tip. Guess him hammering Higgins was a sign that he would win a lot if he kept that form. Yeah, but, I mean, if you said that, if you swap the match with Robertson and Allen around, you could probably potentially use that as an explanation, but he's had such a good win against Robertson. I genuinely would argue that his performance against Neil was probably about as bad, probably about as good as the one that Zhao had against Higgins, because, let's be honest, with all the respect to John, with all the, a little bit of weird body language, all the reactions, for me, Robertson put up a little bit more of a fight because he was more in the game, and there were more of those frames where they were closely contested. Higgins never looked like he was in the game. So, once again, he swapped the match with Allen and Robertson around, and he would have played Allen to be in the semi-final like that. Yeah, you feel like 4-0 down to the first session. The worst signs of him showing weakness, but it seemed like he was such on the up there, trying to make it work until the crucible. By the way, Zhao Xingtong's taking some real time on this shot, and you know what this usually means. He's about to take a dangerous red away. Wow, to me, if he's taking this one into the right middle, this is going to be such a risky shot for him to take on. I mean, what on earth is this? I mean, I'm still waiting to see a different angle potentially, but has he not just put a red safe and left the position to be with full control of Trump? I mean, I'm not going to say it's about as bad as the shot on the pink, but at the first shot of the 9th frame, but it may well be. I mean, to be fair for Zhao Xingtong, he is going to have a 7-3 gap of a frame, but what was that? Can anyone explain me? They did well against Sean too. Yeah, it's brilliant against Sean. The fact that he was able to stay in the match where he looked like he was slipping away from, on so many of those occasions, he was having himself on the ropes at some points. And even in the Decisive, he was playing so well with that final clearance. Now, he's about to have a bit of a free chance there given by Zhao. He's played a fantastic shot there, by the way, to get the red away from the cue ball, position himself for a shot into the right middle. Listen, 4-7, 5-7, he's not going to be, game over just yet, but now he's 54 points away, and he's got one red to be on the right side cushion. But, I mean, I'm still waiting for explanation of that shot from the ping that he's had, but what on earth was that from Zhao Xingtong as well? Mind you, Sean's double, if went in, Trump was gone, and went over the pocket, was unlucky big time, he hit the jaw in the middle through it. Yeah, but that's fine margin. I mean, I'm not going to say that that was the reason why, Sean is, 5-time world champion there. If your grandmother had the wheels, she would have been a bike there. If doesn't really happen, does it? You have to be in there. Sometimes you're going to have luck to be against you, sometimes in your favour. Do you need a reminder against the performance that he had against Higgins? Especially with that decider, where he was one shot away. The luck wasn't really on his side with that kiss that he got off the last shot that he's played in that match. So sometimes it's all going to be relative. Something that is going to be certainly a variable for him to stick to. What a shot he's played there. Brilliant there. Despite of it being a red that which still would count as the one to be on open play. But what a shot that is. 3 cushions and perfectly at the right side of a blue in terms of the top side of a blue. Now, this is where those points are going to start to mount, because even though he was able to take the blue away, he has technically lost 2 points out of a maximum sequence of those that he was able to take. So 41 behind, 43 at the table. He needs to be taking this trade with the black, because then he's going to have to try and take the remaining, last rate. I don't really know what he's going to try and do with it, because the fact that he's left it very late on the black, I mean, he's got 2 options. Try and get close to the red, or try and cannon the cue ball into it. It felt like I know which one he's going to choose, and he's trying to cannon into the red. He's brought that one into the open play, but he's going to be completely wrong side of it, and I'm not even sure he can find a snooker to be landed in behind the green. So 33 points behind, 35 on the table. This red has to be taken with the pink or the black. And then the total clearance has to be in there as well. Let's play the defensive shot. It seems like the keyboard just needs to keep running. And this is going to be a fantastic shot there by Chom. Finally, we are seeing signs there that he may not have checked out of this hotel just yet. He seems to have done that, and then he seems to have remembered, well, you know what, I forgot my boarding pass in. I may as well return and put up a little bit more of a fight. And try and stay for breakfast here. Because 33 points is not quite going to be job done here for Xington, especially with how far those cushions are going to be from the red. He's trying to just play this one with full power here and hope the red is going to be close. Is he going to get past the green? Well, that is going to be fortunate from Zhao Xington, because to be fair, the only thing that will probably make this one slightly better for Trump is that if he would have been straight in the red, it would have been impossible to try and get to the pink anyway. But, you know, at least he would have had control over the red. Now he's about to have the green position over the pocket, which doesn't really help his mentality process of trying to fight this one back. And you feel like just one more frame loss and he'll surely be gone mentally, physically, and based on the scoreline as well. That easy ball jump missed in the first session was a key, I think. Not sure which one, because there certainly were plenty of those. But you feel like 3-5. You can't really blame her on the first session, because I genuinely thought he left himself with enough of a chance at that point. And, you know, certainly something that you can't blame it is that the damage seems to have been done early doors in the second session here. But are we getting to a point where Chomp is going to have to be put into the same equation as Ronnie? To a certain extent, I'm not saying it's the same, but he does seem to have loads of those couple of opening frames there to be lost. I mean, he's done that against everyone apart from Robertson this week, where he's lost out the opening 2 frames. Obviously lost out 4 of those against Allen, but, you know, now he's lost the opening 2 frames in the second session as well. He's about to have a really nice shot there that Zhao Xington has played that forces Chom to try and take this one from the right side. I mean, that was anything but comfortable. The slightest of touches towards the red. By the way, if he misses it, he needs a snooker, and good luck trying to get this one in. I mean, is there going to be enough of a distance in between the cue ball and the green to try and plan this one in? And in relation to the green and the ball cushion, well, Zhao Xington could have played this one better. Ooh, I tell you what, this is going to be close. That was a bad shot from Xington, and the only thing that might have saved him is enough power in the red, which seems like he's managed to drift over the left middle, and he's not going to be positioned nicely for it. So, is he going to be a thin cut off this red to be taken, or is he going to be just trying to play it safe? Yeah, you felt like that was going to be the answer, and doesn't want that pink to be getting safe. Trump is the one that will need all of those colours. Look at that for a shot. In terms of the cue ball, that was perfect. Brilliant safety there from Chomp. Certainly wasn't playing that with attacking approach, because, as I say, now he's going to have a really difficult line towards the pink and the black, because one of them to be in the way of another, well, certainly from the right corner. I mean, from the left it's playable, but the only way for you right now to be getting this frame one is to be doing that one off the black. And you only have, well, seems like he's only going to have the left-hand side of the table to be available. Don't know what that was from Zhao Xington. Whether it was an attempt to try and get that red to be safe, whilst putting the cue ball to be lined up at the black ball cushion. But to be fair, at the same time, it does force him with a situation where he can't afford to be taking this red into the green pocket. He needs to be playing this one with, you know, what's it called, with the pink or black, which makes the positional play of those shots very much limited to him. So just try and play it safe. And for now, it certainly seems like he's managed to do that pretty well. How many reds left? 1, I'm guessing. Yes, just 1. So he needs at least pink after red. Yes. Turn 5-8 game. And it was a red at bottom, mind you said about was easy. Well, I can't really recall that one, but I'll trust you on this, as the red seems to be bouncing away nicely, but the cue ball is going to be heading towards the right corner. Something that, you know, Zhao Xington doesn't really need to be doing. I mean, at that point, it seemed like he was pretty controlled, although it was a touch from the red, which is really difficult for you to try and control to that extent. You know, he hit the right side cushion way before getting close to the pocket, but still doesn't want to be playing risk like that, because, you know, ball in hand, And 4 extra of those points will certainly help Chom massively. For now, he's looking to try and help himself here, although, I mean, he hasn't got the snooker. He's about to have the red right next to the black, which, I mean, at this point, I'm not even sure if it's going to be worth trying to put the red anywhere next to the black when it comes to giving the shot away, because Zhao surely is going to try and use that as an advantage for him, and he's managed to put the pink safe. Really good shot there from Zhao, but, I mean, that was always going to be a risk. If you leave a red next to the black and the pink, Zhao target number 1, even if he leaves the red away, is to be putting the pink and the black onto the side cushion, because now he makes the total clearance to be pretty much impossible to be done from the first attempt. And of course, he doesn't get Chomp any closer towards spotting the red with a black. I tell you what, that certainly was squeaky bum time, and it doesn't seem like it's about to be over. You know, Chomp hit a really good shot in terms of he hit that one first into the cushion, played the red to be away from the cue ball, but he's hit that one a little bit too well and allowed the red to be cannoned way too close to the green pocket. But the cue ball was so close to the right part of the table that now it's about to be taken with potential of a long red here to be potted into the corner. Well, the red is going to be heading into a very bad zone there. As you can guess, he was missed. Well, is he going to have an angle to try and hold this one for the black? The answer to me seems like he won't, which, you know, the crowd are going to be desperately urging Trump, but, well, this is going to have to be taken around the globe, which means he's got a potential chance of trying to stick with the blue. And I tell you what, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I genuinely feel like this could be the best chance for him to be winning this frame, because, I mean, he's got the green to be out of position, he's got the brown and the blue to be out of position. Does he really have the ability to try and bring that cue ball all around the globe, to try and pot it perfectly on the black there, which you'll still need to have a total clearance to continue, whilst having the pink to be on the right side cushion? He can't really be doing that. For me, honestly, he has to go for that blue, which means he's going to be committed for a respot in the best case scenario. But the worst case scenario is that he's not going to be positioned on anything. Wow. He decided to take that red away and clearly put all of his eggs, of his Easter eggs potentially, in the basket of trying to get a snooker. He hasn't done that. Well, it's not as bad as taking the red and not being lined up on anything, but it certainly looks like it is going to be worse to me than having this red to be potted with the blue, because no one told you that Zhao can't just pot the red, and it's not like he hasn't got the pink to be positioned about as safe as he can be on the snooker table. Even if the red is potted, the table is a mess. Yes, but I suppose I get the point there. But from this point, you can try and say Trump needs to have perfect chance, but he's not going to be in the fantasy world. He is going to be now, though. This is a fantastic shot there. Exactly something that he was looking for to try and improve his chances of winning the frame. The thing that I was about to say is that the table is not going to clean itself. The best way for you to be lined up with, you know, a better chance of winning the frame is to try and get those reds with colours, get those bold colours out, and, well, certainly going to have a couple of free points here, but is he going to have a free ball? Wow, this is going to be interesting. The contact and the cue ball is going to be having a free ball. So, can Trump pot the brown? There's no point to be putting this one back. Can he try and pot the green as well? This is going to turn a frame around a little bit. It doesn't fix the issue with, what's it called, the pink, but it gives him a really good chance here. Is anything safe? Is everything safe? He's about to be taking the green as the red. He got that one to be sorted out. He doesn't need to be taking the colour with the black here because of the foul points received. So he needs to be taking anything after the last of those reds. This black is anything but easy, but does he need to be taking this black away? He's looking towards the pink to do it. To me, you have to be playing it into the pink. It's such a deja vu of the 9 frame where the pink is the yellow and he's got a miscue. It's such a deja vu and he needs the total clearance. This is exactly what happened in frame number 9. Surely you have to bring the pink into the open play and make sure you are the one with, you know, a good opportunity to try and make it past there. For now, 35 points left. 35 points that Trump scores. Big mistake to leave free ball. Well, no miscue. Well, listen, I was saying that, you know, it was the exact deja vu for the previous frame. Ooh, that was close to the left middle, but, it didn't get the snooker purchase anyway. And now Zhao, look at that. This is exactly something that Trump should have done on the previous attempt. The only good thing about Trump is that potentially now this is going to be a red ball frame. But straight away, as soon as it turns to be a red ball frame, he finds himself in a position where he can't see the red. And he's about to send the cue ball into the land of nowhere. And wow, once again, that was such a tight kiss on the red, but it seems like it's worked out pretty well because he's about to have a minimal part of that red to be given away to Zhao. So this is getting interesting. Xington doesn't seem like he's bothered about it. And it seems like he's going to have the mentality of, if you give me the left-hand side, then so be it. That was a little bit close for comfort, but it's still going to be fine at the end. Cue ball to be placed perfectly at the right side cushion. The red a little bit too close to the middle, but never in a potable condition now. He could have made a point about it if he'd been a couple of centimeters closer towards it. But still, that leaves chance with being the one in control of the position to try and bring the cue ball and the red to be in a safe place altogether. It seems to have done that in relation to leaving out the red to be potted, but at the same time, he still seems like he's given the potential for the initiative to be slipping away from him once again. So the long contact on the red seems to have brought that one quite high up the table. Do you take this one on? Do you take this one on? Well, this is going to be an interesting shot to be seen. Trump seems like he's got his mind sorted out. To me, it shows that he's going to play a safety out of it. And yeah, he couldn't be taking a long red with such little preparation. Frame time, 25 minutes. It looked like he was about to be over with, 7 minutes to be played. For now, it seems like the applause are going to be there. I'm not sure if the snooker is going to be here. Well, he certainly will be. Whether there is a point that he can try and swerve around the brown, I feel like he can. Well, it's difficult to be doing that from the cushion. He probably can't be doing that after all. Is he going to try and make it? He will try and swerve around it. At least he'll give it a go. How close is it going to be? A free ball if he misses it. And at the end, yeah, he gets a good contact on the red, pushes the black to be heading way higher up the table. But it doesn't matter now. As long as it's going to be in the open play, it's not going to be too close to the green or brown, which leaves both of them to be available. It's still going to be a race down to the red and any colour to be taken after it for this not to be a respot. This is going to be a bit of a dangerous shot here. Wow, this is going to be a huge loads of a bad shot there from Trump. After all that struggle, I remember what I said about deja vu in frame number 9. It is going to be the deja vu if this red is going to be taken into the yellow pocket, which I feel like this is not going to be missed this time. An A3, thank you very much, I'll take that from Zhao. No prisoners taken, no quarter given, and this is going to be surely the end. And, well, it was coming. Trump managed to find himself only one pot away from one chance away on the red to try and make it a potential of a total clearance, but he never was in the game, to be honest with you, because he always seemed like he was one shot behind, playing catch-up, and now he's going to be not one shot, but 5 frames behind. And yeah, look at that. 705 point score there from Zhao and 374 scored by Trump. He's about to put the yellow safe, and he certainly managed to fluke that one in, and it's not going to matter. He apologises anyway, but that was certainly a fluke and a half there. How tight was that line towards the middle after playing that shot from the ball cushion? Anyway, it's going to be a snooker lined up. Zhao will take this frame away from Trump, and he's got absolutely no chance to continue. He will be. Zhao with an 8-3 of a lead. Too greedy on the tactical game. John could have potted the red in the left. Black box. Yes, I mean, why? Honestly, why would you not take the respot as a chance? I mean, honestly, man, at least you got yourself in a frame to try and lose there, because he could have taken that red. 100% he could have taken that red. Zhao done numerous times against Higgins. He's done that against Robertson as well. He clearly was just trying to feel, well, I'm not going to win it if it's going to be a respot. He was never going to win it without a respot, because yes, he got that fantastic snooker lined up in behind the red, but even at that point, he wasn't able to, that safety battle on the red. Once again, whatever it was, he finds himself to be on the back foot every single time there, man. And how frustrating must that have been for himself to realise. Now, frustration is not even going to be the word. it is certainly going to be resignation. 8-3 down, and he concedes. Well, of course he's going to concede. 37 points down, 25 at the table. There's not going to be any point for you to try and get 3 snookers, especially after being snookered yourself on the black. But what can he do here? And yeah, I can't see comments. I can't see the table. Title to agree. There we go. Well, listen, it's whatever you think about it, whether you agree or you disagree, you can't say that Trump has been anywhere near his standard of play, which we have seen consistently, day in, day out. Every single time the frame seems to be going out of his comfort zone, he can't stand a chance to be winning the match against Zhao, and he's done that time and time and time again. It is going to be slipping away from him. An hour in, 3 frames in, despite the third one to be such a lengthy one, it probably tells you how far away he's been from taking the second and third frames. But, I mean, he was in there with a game to be stealing the first frame. But at this, how can you be in with a chance to be taking the 9th and the 11th frame, and yet, realistically, you were never in the game? How does it work? Well, it's the way for you to describe the game, and it's the way for you to describe Watchalong's performance. So far, it has been really disappointing for him, and probably the biggest win of the final, potentially to be on the way. What's it been? 10-2, Xi'an Grand Prix, Williams against Murphy. 9-2, Wakelin against Bingyu. 10-4, Trump himself against Murphy. I feel like that performance against Murphy was a lot closer because, Trump was getting the run of the ball, but he was playing so well, and Murphy was... It was a bit of a similar performance, to be fair, because Murphy wasn't anywhere near his best, but at least he was making a game out of it on some occasions. And for now, at least he's managed to win 4 frames. Trump only seems to have 3 of those to be in his favour. Well, he's still in there with a chance, but I don't know what percentage of a chance is going to be there. I'm just about to look at the odds. It'll take me a second there as Zhao takes the break off. 19.0 for Trump to be the winner of the match. And it's probably going to be describing the situation nicely. Well, that is, yeah. I'm not going to say you concede the match, but you're about as close to it because, Trump has a long red available to the corner. He decides not to be playing it, and he's got an easiest safety shot in the mind in the world there, and he misses the contact overall, has that cue to be heading way down the table. Yeah, if it's not going to be 10-3, I'm going to be very surprised out there because Zhao is about to have an absolute, 3-beat. That match against Yan Mingtao, I'll tell you what, I haven't seen it, but it could not have been too far away from this. The start to the 10 frame and the start to this frame has been absolutely disgraceful there from Trump. The match of the season, they said. The worst match of the season, the worst final of the season, is going to be in there if it finishes the way that he started. Because even, the thing about the match, certainly of Chang Minyu against, against Chris Wakelin, is that Wakelin has been in there with a chance to try and steal those frames there. But Minyu wasn't playing well, but you could see that he genuinely cared to try and play his own game. He wasn't making mistakes like that, let's be honest. Especially twice in 3 frames there. Especially his opponent to be Zhao. If Zhao was playing in that match, by the way, against Chang Minyu and he wasn't Wakelin, he could have easily been a bit of a closer battle there. Wakelin's done really well, but it is going to be a very similar of a performance against Mark Williams and Sean Murphy, where Murphy was playing so well to get to the final. Williams was playing nowhere near his best, and then he was completely different on the day of the final. But, I mean, you can't argue with the stats. And stats clearly say that Trump has been outplayed. And I'm not going to say he's thrown the game, but he's about to throw the towel in, that's for sure. Because it's now going to be looking at 16 points here from Zhao, and about to be lined up for the black to be taken into the corner. It's going to be a decent attempt for him to try and make that cue past those reds, because he needs to be heading into the black with loads of action. By the way, it is going to be intermission after this one, so he will put Trump out of his misery for 15 minutes there, but, I mean, does he look like he's about to win this frame? Anything but. Anything but. Once again, that sequence. You can see I'm about to just have a look at the way that Zhao is going to handle this position, though, but I'm about to say I've lost all message of the chat there. You know what? I don't know why, but you haven't really messed up on too many of them. The last one is, yes, I can't see the table, but I'm entitled to agree with you. And the last message from you is going to be, and he concedes. Well, even the chat probably had enough Letitia, to be fair, because the chat clearly was lined up with a really interesting stream. In the end, it seems to be. A great performance by Zhao, by the way, as he about to have, well, certainly not the best shot of the match, as he completely misjudges the contact on the reds. He catches two of them to have been going very thin to the top end of the table, but still going to have a half-hearted chance to be taking this red into the green pocket, potentially, certainly into the right middle. They'll take a really good cut for him to be making this one in, but once again, flawless there from Xington. And the only slight issue is that he's run out of reds here, and he's not going to be positioned on the blue, but look at that for the red. Brilliantly taken, a millimetre to the left and the right, but no, he's going to go straight to the heart of the pocket. And to be fair, one thing I will say about Trump, which will make it slightly better, although he won't, he certainly won't make up for the whole performance, is Zhao Zhiton has been absolutely flawless and hasn't put a foot wrong. Wow. Just as I say that, he misses the brown. I mean, I genuinely should be doing those more frequently, because if I'd done that at the start of a match, Trump could have potentially had a chance there. Ever since this point, I'm just going to say that Zhao Zhiton has been flawless there, and maybe he's going to have a couple more of those misses. But, I mean, listen, I was coming to the point of the end of the first session was with an unexpected steal there from Trump, where he was about to go 6-2 down. He managed to be only 5-3 down, and that was the thing for me that he was going to try and use there. But, yeah, it seems like that performance is going to be long gone, because he takes a good red into the corner. He manages to spread the reds away from each other, but he's still not going to be anywhere near the position on the black or the blue. Surely he needs to be just going all in here, even though there is going to be very little of a chance that it'll work. But he has to be taking the blue, and he's missed it. Is he going to fluke it into the corner? He was close, probably closer than he got to the green pocket out there. But to be fair, I mean, it seemed like he's not going to have loads of those chances to be given away. Just a matter of time, but still, right here, right now, the red that he clearly was playing for, because of the blue not to be anywhere near the target, it seemed like the key was going to have to be heading for the more difficult of the reds, which means Zhao Zhiton always had a chance to be missing that one as well. But with him not being too bad at his snooker IQ this time around, he was playing for the brown, which had no dangerous reds around it, and it's clearly going to be Chum to try and get himself back to the safety battle, and just carefully playing towards any behind of the brown. Could have played this one a little bit closer, but it's still a good shot there from Chum. He's probably not going to be the one that takes him anywhere near there. Flawless, that's the word. It looks like he's playing alone at home. Yes. Let's try and, whether you were doing that on purpose to try and jinx him, but let's try and use all the power that we can do. Not on safeties like that, because you can't do anything with it. But yeah, unfortunately, it does seem like he's got absolutely no obstacles around him, and he doesn't seem to have the world number one to be playing against him. But maybe there is going to be a little bit of a turnaround. The problem is, it's going to have to be the likes of Zhao Wei against Luca Brissell of a comeback, and of course that would require Zhao Zhiton to be playing the Zhao Wei type of snooker, and try and make it difficult for himself. For now, it's going to be Trump as trying to get the black to be an open play. But even the problem is, how many more of those mistakes do we have to see from Zhao? I'm just going to put it out there. 32 points difference, 99 points still at the table. But look at the position. As long as it's not perfect, I promise you I can't see Trump doing anything with it, because it would require him to have a chance after chance after chance after chance, until he gets all of those reds to be positioned perfectly in line so that he can take them with the colours that he wants. But for now, it does seem like at least one of those chances will be taken from Zhao Zhiton's point of view, and that will be enough with the way that he's managed to play this game. Not being perfect, but does he need to be perfect? I mean, I know I was just about to say that he was flawless, but, flawless in the shots that he was playing there with the grade of those. In the end, he was still making those mistakes, but it's just they get lost in the, there's a small couple of those mistakes in a huge bunch of those from Trump. And this one is going to be one of them, because even though it may look like he's trying to place that cue ball in a zone where there's not too many reds around it, potentially looking to play for the black, which, to be fair, you may have to give him a little bit credit for. He has done that. but he had a little bit of risk of leaving out the red that he missed because of how far he missed that one by. And also, you don't really know the whole picture based off the 2 reds that Zhao is about to be taken. Because it looks like, is he playing them in a double? No, he wasn't. He was just using them carefully as a shot to try and send the cue ball to be heading up the table. So 70% go for Zhao. I would love to be as optimistic as life as the ones that 30% have been going for Trump. Wow, that was John's most heavy defeat ever, it said. And I don't seem to have that message, but yeah, he says that he was the heaviest defeat of John Higgins. He seemed to have just about as heavy in terms of frames to judge on there in that formidable final of the 2019. 18 frames to 9, but of course it would have been in a longer format. He had a defeat similar, 10 frames to 2 against McManus in 93 or 95, but yeah, of course it was the performance to try and match there in terms of the records from Zhao against Higgins, but yeah, very similar in terms of how the lack of good play there from Judd has seemed to have left him with the scoreline to match. You're really going to be looking forward to try and see a bit of response here, but of course, if it's not meant to be, then so be it, I suppose. And what a horrible shot that was. I mean, how on earth Trump is not losing this frame already? Because he's played the red, which you felt like you couldn't get that one wrong, because all you had to do is get that one pretty thick. You got that one superbly thin on the edge, and Calamity the cue ball to be heading into the pack of 3 reds. Only God will know how on earth has he not left one away to Zhao, but he could still try and potentially, well, probably hasn't left anything here, but yeah, he's certainly going to have a shot. He surely must be going, something must be going wrong there. Whatever it is, the tip, it is the cue, whether he's not playing well, he seems like he's about to just throw the towel in and get himself out of the arena there, which sometimes we see that with Wilson against Lesser in the UK of the first round, but we probably haven't seen that apart from Chang Min-yu against Chris Wakelin and Sean Murphy against Mark Williams, where the players just want to get themselves out of the arena in the final, where it's going to be a different story here. And he's about to have a red, which will put in over the left corner, but is he going to have enough of that red to be seen there to get past the black? Sometimes you do need a little bit of luck to try and get yourself to be heading for the right track. For now, the red is in. Is he going to have that cue ball to slow down? He needs to, and he's not going to. I mean, just about, you can make it a stretch there where this green is going to be possible, but if Zhao has Mr. Brown, which was way easier than this, I could barely see Trump to be taking this one away, but he has. As long as there is a chance, 1% chance, 99% hope, we can all hope there that Trump will make himself out of this crisis zone, and he can always look back as this being the biggest comeback of his career, which will certainly be to me. It doesn't seem like a comeback guy anyway in the final. Seems to be such a brilliant front runner, but now it's going to be anything but. Yeah, but remember what I said, 33 points to 1, I said there's no way he wins the frame because of how many attempts he surely will need to try and get every single one of those reds to be positioned nicely for him. He's got 3 more in the open play, and he's going to have 4 more to be, in somewhat shape or form, to be positioned very badly for Judd Trump. He's about to be 20 points down in the 12th frame here, but potentially, one thing that makes it a little bit better is that 3 of the 4 difficult reds are going to be all positioned next to each other. And is he going to try and make it into them now? For now, he's just trying to get his queuing back into decent board there. Come on. He'll said that Zhao fall asleep. Yeah, to be fair, Zhao clearly feels like this. I'm not saying he feels like this match is won, but he's not playing anywhere near to the extent that he can. But that was better. That was brilliant there from Trump. Can he try and keep any rhythm going? Maybe after all that, we're going to be saying Zhao fall asleep a little bit too soon. But for now, it seems like he can't do anything else because you need to keep yourself entertained. But what a shot that was from Trump. Basically managed to sort out 3 of those difficult reds to be in open play. Is he going to have enough points so that he doesn't need the last one? The short answer should be no. And wow, that was bad. From sublime to ridiculous. I mean, as I was thinking, can he try and avoid putting every single one of those reds? I'll tell you what, Zhao Xingtong won't have an idea like that, but what a miss that is. What a miss that is from Trump. He can't even say that red was close to the black ball cushion. He had the pocket opened up. It was way too close for those shots to be missed by a professional, but, well, listen, they say it's the greatest comeback of your life for a reason, because it will never happen. And when it does happen, it certainly is going to be the one that will stick with you for the remainder of your career. But the biggest intrigue now, is he going to be 9-3 or is he going to be 8-4 for now? Yep, Letitia, I can feel your pain. Sometimes you just have the player that you try and nurse them to try and get them into the finals so badly by supporting them. And sometimes when it's not their day, there's nothing you can do. Trump seems that he is going to be putting this one on the tip every single time he misses it. Whether that is the case, I'm not going to say, I'm going to be the expert in queuing. And I know that's, it's certainly not going to be the first player to have done that, where he's going to have the equipment that just doesn't seem like it's going to match the performance that is going to be needed. But, I mean, you still have to ask the question of why was it changed, or why was it working previously? But anyway, Zhao Xingtong still feels like he's going to be having to pot at least 2 more of those reds. 3 more, I should say. He's 26 points clear there. If I had a hand smile, I would have used it. Yeah, well, he's about to have one of those reds to be dropped. Zhao Xingtong is clearly playing, a bit of a practice match, because he's going for all the difficult reds. He's making them in, and even when he doesn't make them in, he knows that he's about to put in a chance for Jump, which is very unlikely to be taken all the way there. But when he does make it into those reds, he seems to play a brilliant snooker. So, 34 points clear. As I said, he will need those 2 more reds to be taken, especially if he doesn't use the black here. But even if he does use the black, it doesn't really matter. And he seems to have the perfect line of the pink, although probably the wrong side of the pink. He would have liked to be on the right instead of the left side here. Because, is he going to try and make it off the left side? Wow, that was brilliant. That was good from Zhao Xingtong. About to be lined up for a frame ball. And 9-3 of a gap. I mean, look at this red, by the way. This is going to be the perfect sign of what Trump was missing on. Because this is way more difficult than the red that he's taken. And look at that. 2 seconds of preparations. And he is going to be having a frame ball in. No pressure. No problem. Zhao Xingtong, 9-3 of a gap. He's going to be his for the taking, even without the black. But certainly, if he takes it into the corner, and it is going to be 70 that plays 21, and 49 points the difference, well, the match has been going for 1.5 hours, but you feel like the intermission is going to be the most enjoyable part for Trump fans, and even for neutrals. I mean, I was, looking to try and get Zhao Xingtong to be playing in here, but in the final, looking to make it the best performance of the season. It seems to have been the worst performance of the season there when it comes to the expectation versus reality. I mean, Trump is going to carry on. I feel like he probably needs to be doing that for the fans, but purely to get the hours in. Is he really going to try and make the game out of it? He managed to have those 3 snookers to be found in the first frame of the match, but boy, does that seem like it was 2 years ago, based on how committed he was to try and make a game out of it, versus to what he feels now. And even at that point, he didn't seem like he was getting any cue issues in frames number 3 and 4. He seemed to have been playing really well. And even at the starting point of the frame number 5, what an image that was, by the way. Trump playing a shot and, the shadow of Zhao Xingtong just looking at it, clearly with a smile, even not on his face, but certainly inside of him. He knows there's no way that Trump will find himself lifting that Tour Championship trophy for the first time. So it does seem like 6 out of 6 there for Zhao Xingtong. Although, of course, it is a little bit disrespectful to be saying that. But, not about as disrespectful as turning up to the final and playing a performance like this will be my point. As much as you have a little bit of appreciation for Trump to try and, to continue to play the frame here. Clearly feels like there is still something there to be won or lost. And Zhao doesn't really care about those safeties. He seems to play them half-hearted anyway. And you can't blame him. For you to care, you need to have the competition on the other side of the table. And it seems like it's only down to performance from Zhao Xingtong when he needs to. And when he doesn't want to be playing, 100% worth of concentration, it just seems like he can drop that down to 70% and still be level or 2 above what we've seen from Trump. So then let's just focus on the game here and try and tell you what's happening here around the table. A really nice shot there from Xington, trying to play the cue ball into the ball cushion first. And look at that for safety, brilliant. Let's see if Trump is going to be able to get himself past the blue and green and try and have a direct contact with the Reds. No, you won't. You still managed to hit the Reds with it heading sideways. The frame is going to be conceded, and it is going to be 7 points of a foul there for Zhao Xington, and it is going to be 9 frames to 3 in favour of Zhao Xington. 12 frames in, no chance, it would seem, for Trump to make a game out of it, and just a matter of time until we'll see Zhao Xington. Is it going to be the second easiest win of his career in terms of a ranking final? Luca Brissell seemed to, as much as he was never in the game, you know, being never in the game is a bit of a half-hearted comment, because how far away do you need to be in that match for you to say that you were never in the chance there? Certainly something that Trump has to say about him. The fact that he was closer to Zhao Xington in the frame number 4 looked like at that point I was the one shouting, you know, if it's going to be someone to run away, surely it'll be Trump because of how much consistency, how much of a game he's got. And yet we find ourselves 12 frames in, no chance for, you know, Trump to make it comfortable, and he won't be the favourite until he reaches the decider, which right now he's going to be 6 frames away from. And even at that point, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if Zhao just reels him in with a bit of a fish rod and allows him to have a decider, and then, you know, still makes a 120 of a break or something like that, and you know, still makes it one of the best deciding wins in the season. I'll tell you what, I'll give loads of, you know, the snooker money for that, because it would be a fantastic end to the final that seems like, for all the expectations, for all the hype, which was created by me partially, seems like it probably was the biggest disappointment of the season. Well, good news is, it doesn't seem to happen at the Crucible, and cheer up, we're about to have the qualifiers to get started. By the way, I'm not sure if they were going to get started today, because it seems like something that I've heard. But yeah, Letitia, just, you know, try and make it past this period. It's very difficult for you to try and do that when you have got the expectations. But as I say, the World Championship is going to be around the corner. And sometimes, one thing it certainly is going to be for certain, it is going to be the best that you play before the World Championship. Trump seems to play horrible at the Crucible. When he doesn't play well, it seems to be the season where he does have the chance. Maybe this was all part of the genius plan there, because let's be honest, you would trade the Tour Championship for the Crucible title in a heartbeat. The problem is, if the two of them were to face in a semi-final, quarter-final, or even in the final, which probably would be logical, because they can't be faced anything else rather than the final for them to be in the separate part of the draw. But even if it is going to be a 4th session of a final, you could easily see one of those sessions to be the case. And yeah, just try and stay on the positive side. Let's have a look at World Championship. Where are the qualifiers going to start? They're going to start tomorrow in the morning. So they seem to have done it on purpose, where they're going to have the final of the tour to be played, and then the qualifiers at Sheffield are the ones. Well, clearly you could not have had, you know, they got that one pretty well, because you can't have a player that is going to make it to the final of the championship, which has got the 12 best players on the 1-year list, and then you're going to have the same player to be playing into the first round of the World Championship qualifiers. Not the first time of the season Trump is crumbling in the final, unfortunately. And once again, I would like to say, no, you're wrong about it. No, you're completely wrong. You're out of your depth. You don't know what you're talking about, but you are completely right about that one. You had something to fix with pressure, maybe. Yeah, but how on earth do you come away with such good performances against Murphy, Allen, and against Robertson? 3 such good players there. Murphy, the most consistent player of the season there, you could argue. Allen, the die-hard player that will always make it difficult for you, no matter which place he is on the rankings. Robertson, number 1 seed on the 1-year list. Yes, I've been shouting that he's down to Saudi ranking event points, but still, he was playing some good stuff there before he got to that semi-final. And, you know, in the first round match that he had against Hawkins, yes, it wasn't all pretty, but with how well he's managed to play against Robertson, you felt like if you would have brought 70% of that game over to this match, he would have still had certainly not a 3-9 of a scoreline to match. But yeah, listen, I don't actually know where you're going to have the draw to be done. Is it going to be done after the qualifiers? Because yeah, I feel like the odds for the Crucible Crown to be won for Judd probably is about to fall in behind Ronnie O'Sullivan. But this is where not good for me at the Crucible. Yeah, to be fair, I was about to say maybe he's going to have a brilliant campaign at the Crucible. And then I realised, well, you do know that he's had probably one of the worst Crucible records when it comes to the top seeded players, because, you know, semi-finals of 2025, quarterfinals of 2024. I can't remember where he was in the 2023 there, but he certainly wasn't in the semis. And I'm pretty sure he wasn't in the quarters either. He has made it to the final against Ronnie. Was he in the quarters in 2023? No, he wasn't. He was at the... He wasn't even in the second round there. He was out in the first round of the of that season. Have I missed him there? I can't even see. Yes, he has lost to Anthony McGill in the first round there. Wow, that was horrible. Then, as I say, managed to make it into the final against Ronnie at the 2022 season. We're sure Ronnie's coming. Not sure. Never sure with Ronnie, but he should be. He certainly should. He can't. The problem is for Ronnie, if he doesn't come to the Crucible, he's going to retire. Surely. What's the point of you playing and saying every single interview that you do, I'm here because I want to make it 8. I want to get my game to be sorted out to the best level, but you're not going to have your game to be back to the next level if you're not going to compete at the Crucible. If you're going to be out, fine. If you're going to be out, make sure you give it your best. You know, do it for a couple of years. If you can't make it past the quarterfinals, then this is going to be the right for you to retire. But surely, after such a good run at the World Open, just because he was up against someone playing so well, the conditions, the table, it could all be very different when it comes to having the Crucible set up. The crowd are certainly going to have his back. He could still, if he made it to the semi-finals playing as bad as he has, and I know it sounds harsh, last season, nothing stops him from winning it and making it 8 on the bounce, and at least make it a huge... He's probably going to be in the same side of a draw against Zhao, so we could see revenge of a semi-final there. But if he plays against Trump right now, I mean, who's going to be the one to lose? It's going to be a close one anyway, so certainly give it a try. He is going to be third favourite with the bookies, and I'm pretty sure the bookies are going to drop Trump because of him not having good stats in the Crucible, but also because of how badly this final has gone so far. But as I say, you never know. It's 7 on the bounce he has to win. He's managed to win 6 of those against Robertson. As much as Zhao is not going to be Neil Robertson, maybe there is going to be something that, you know, the snooker gods have got for us planned, because surely he can't, finish like this. He will be there. That's all I'm sure he wants. It's 8. He did event in Zhao. Yeah, listen, if it's going to be down to this, then hopefully we are going to be seeing a bit of a revenge. And all I want, honestly, hand on heart, if it is going to be a revenge, if Zhao is to win, absolutely fine. But all I want is Ronnie to actually care and have a smile on his face every single one of those 2 frames, which would be a sign that he's actually playing well. And if he's queuing well, as he says all the time, then he's playing well. If he's playing well, then he's going to be up for it. And if he's up for it, it's about as much as you can hope. Because Ronnie O'Sullivan being up for a match at the Crucible is probably going to put a smile on any fans of the faces. If Ronnie keeps his form, he has great chance. He is great in long games, if in decent form. Yes, it's going to be down to try and put the hours in the gym. You know, he says that he likes to be running. He likes to be putting the hours in the gym. Surely that is going to be a great opportunity for him to have a good campaign at the Crucible. Because one thing I will say about Ronnie, for me, that was a genius move that he pulled out of this tournament. He wasn't going to have enough of the match fitness that he was going to sustain. He was playing on the World Open, and he's managed to take it all the way there in the first 5 formats of a match until the semi-final. First 6 in the semis against Weezer, then 17 frames against Chaya. He was never going to be in a great shape for Crucible, even with a week worth of rest in between the World Open and this, but also him being at the Crucible in the second match against Higgins. That would have certainly, could still be, but that will certainly take the sting out of him, and he'd just be absolutely knackered by the point of, reaching the semis and it would be the same thing again, just not able to live those 17 days up to the standard of the Crucible that you need to be. Right now, with him missing out on this week, he's going to play in the exhibition of the Great Cause there for John Virgo Trophy in Ireland in 6 days or so before the Crucible. And then, 16th of April, he should be up for it at the Sheffield, but hopefully, fingers crossed, that will be the case. Making history 8, exactly. Trump, Jolovolska, well, you seem to be the only one that is positive, so let's keep a little bit of positivity on the chat, Still, you can't just put it all down to being on the back of Trump. I've said enough about him, but I still want him to succeed here, and maybe, just maybe, 7 frames on the bounce. Let's go. I'll be in there if that is to be the case. He was playing very good in the last thing. Best of seeing him in age. Yes, brilliant. The good thing about him, he was giving us glimpses of that in Saudi, but he still was losing way too many of those opening frames. The performance that he had at the World Open there, he was brilliant against every single one of these matches. But still, for me, the match of the season when it comes to first to 6 was way easier against Ronnie O'Sullivan, because for the quality, for the drama, for the high scoring, for how quickly those 11 frames were played, and for how well we've seen the decider. That 43 points of the advantage, I still remember that, down to the last point. 43 points, Weezer's got it all under control. Ronnie takes an all or nothing shot into the yellow, and boy, that was good on the red. Makes a total clearance. That was worth of standing up and applauding, and hopefully, at that point, of course, it would probably be forgotten now, but at that point, it would have just said, you know what, I still got it. I am going to go to Sheffield, and I am going to have the mentality to try and challenge the best of very best. No chance to win 7 here. He's going to, come on. We've had the negativity for the last 90 minutes. Let's try and bring a little bit of positive energy. It's not going to be easy for me. I mean, you make the difficult job impossible for me, but yeah, by the way, the odds have been removed for Trump to be the winner here, so talk about someone trying to make the positive out of it, but surely Trump, he can't get any worse, so he can only get better, and you don't become a world champion a world champion and the world number 1 for so many years for no reason out there. The fans are going to be crowded as trying to make their way towards their seats, which surely is going to suggest that the break is about to be over. Snooker for young, not old. Absolutely get out of there. If you have a message like that again, then you are going to be down to be banned, because if you talk about Trump, you don't know what you're talking about. He's only 36 years of age, and the old guys are still the reason why the snooker is about as popular as it is, because you've got Zhao Xington, you've got Weezer, and you've got Zhang Minyu, but neither one of them is going to be close to try and get near the class of 92 out there. I would give Judd all the energy I have if I could save him. If I want him fighting till, yeah, let's keep it like that. It's about as much as we can do, and hopefully that will be the case. And we are going to be the ones saying that we told you so. It was 7 frames ago. It was impossible, but someone had to do it in the history of snooker. The good thing about snooker is it's technically possible for you to do that, as much as it is unlikely. The more frames you are behind your opponent, the lesser of a chance you have of winning that match. But still, take it on a 1 frame basis. Brissell's done it against Zhao. I keep bringing that match, I know. Robertson's done a whitewash against Bingham that was playing superbly well. Williams had a fantastic run against Murphy, despite Murphy being, at that point, the player of the season. Could we see another performance like that from the world number 1? I'm on to 28 on the poll. Well, opportunistic, I'm not, I'll be honest with you, but I would like to be, and let me join that party. I said 10-7. Yeah, because I remember actually thinking about 10-8, and I was saying to myself, there's no way I'm going to say it's 10-8, because if it's going to be 10-8 in favour of Zhao Xington, then surely there is going to have to be a bit of a drop-off, because Trump won't be able to take the match so close away without actually having a chance to win it. So if you're going to say 10-8, you may as well say Trump win. So if you are going to say that this one is about to be taken all the way, then you may as well say this one is going to be taken all the way there. So then just minutes away from players coming back into the arena. Well, then you have to ask where the 72% of the vote have actually come from, but whatever it is, it's certainly trying to keep ourselves on the team positive. The problem is, we're probably the only ones trying to do that. And let's hope together. Yes, certainly, let's try and do that together. The trophy is back. the picture's about to be taken, but you know, only one of them is going to be allowed to be touching the trophy, and certainly not going to be the fans. They would not have qualified for the, what's it called, for the main draw. And look at that, nice there from one of the, I'm not sure if he's the steward, but taking a picture there from one of the fans, and now asking the fans to make their way towards their seats. So whatever it was great timing there, because it was right on the cutoff point. And I tell you what, if he was a Watchalong fan, it's probably about as good as it's going to get for them. Still, despite all the instructions, I like that. You can see that it's going to be done in the English style there, because despite all the instructions, the players are making their way onto the arena, but still, the fans are going to be taking pictures here of the trophy. That I like that. You know, you probably can forgive them for doing that if it's going to be Watchalong fans, because it's about as much fun as they have seen so far. But hopefully, they're about to see plenty more of it. The good news, we've seen 90 minutes worth of the action. Bad news is, it could be over by the point of this frame to be ended. It is going to be Zhao to break away here. And potentially, because he will be... Well, is he going to be his break off? No, it's going to be 12 point... Yeah, no, he won't be, because 12 frames in, it is going to be Chom to break off. Frame 14. And it is going to be... Well, of course, you never know if it's going to be final frame of the match, because the referee can't announce that. It would be really nice, to be fair, because, you know, if the referees had one of those, you know, cards there where you could use it and you say final frame of the match, I'm only messing with it, but you know, try and bring a little bit of humor where they can only say it once, final frame of the match, and they would always get the side eye from the player that was trying to chase the match down there. It would genuinely bring a little bit of positive energy into the match, whether it will or not, but it's never going to happen because of how professional they're meant to stay there. But you know, certainly an idea that puts a smile on my face. Something that will put a smile on Watchalong's face is that he's got a chance here. A horrible shot taken by Zhao as he cannons the blue to be heading all the way into the green pocket. So now a chance, and with the scoreline, any chance like this could be the last one that he has until making the main draw of the Crucible. And really taken this one well. Now the cue ball needs to slow down before it reaches the brown. And it seems like he's just about got the traction there and got on the brakes at the right time. Perfect positioning there, and this one wasn't quite as easy as it could have been, and probably one of the best shots that we've seen from Chomp in the entire session. So, as I say, no negativity now, try and make it positive. What a shot that was, brilliant there from Chomp, especially if he gets the run, and, well, his body language doesn't seem like he's happy with the outcome, but boy, that was good in relation to taking that shot from the brown, huge loads of spin, and without touching the cushion, taking that cue ball with a huge spike down the table, and now 5-point score. But is there going to be a red to be taken into the right part of the table? Because clearly nothing going to the left. So the only way for him to try and keep this one going is by taking a red into the right middle. Playing boldly, yes, that's what you need to do. As I say, nothing negativity, try and make it positive. Well, I say to try and make it positive, is he surely not? He's going for a plant into the corner. Wow, was that good. Wow, was that brilliant. And wow, was that something that he needed to try and achieve here in this frame number 13. Brilliantly taken there by far, as I say. The 3 shots that he's played in his break is by far the best that we've seen of the entirety of the session. Can he try and build on that and just take it as on a frame-by-frame basis? Gets that cue ball to be cannoned off the left side, bringing the whites all the way down the table. And he's going to have the pink to be out of play. Probably, well, out of position, I should say. The black to be out of play with the way that he's covered up by those reds. And, yeah, he doesn't really get any more difficult than this for the position. Because despite him playing such a good shot on the plant into the left corner, despite having such a huge distance in between those reds, I'll tell you what, one thing that he can try and hold on to, if the pink spot is not going to be, is going to be taken by those reds, the pink will have to go into the blue spot, and at least he give him the potential blue to try and work with, although you have the different colour trying to place on that spot. If I now carefully taking the pink, of course, he wants to try and make it, he wants to try and clean the right-hand side of the table as soon as he can to make the black to be potable. I mean, I'm not sure which one of those reds is going to be easier for him to achieve that, because there's only one red to remove for the black to go into the left corner, but, you know, it's really difficult for you to try and be lined up for that black. nervous can't play. Best comeback was Henry was Helly when he was 8-0, 8-1 down, and somehow won in the Masters final. Yeah, this is still going to be a little bit more optimistic than that, and as I say, you can try and make it pass here. Write your name in the history books, but for that, once again, I wouldn't focus on that until the end point of the match because of how unlikely it is to happen. And, well, he needs that red to be playable into the corner. It seems like he's walking towards it, which still will have the angle. Once again, every single one of those shots that he takes the cue ball towards those reds, he needs not just the perfect positioning on the red, but he also needs to have a perfect line for the cue ball to be taken towards the pink, to be placed on the blue spot. Over on slightly for the pink, which he can't really afford to be doing. Because with him needing to find a perfect placement on the red, perfect placement on the pink certainly will help. But he seems to recover for now to an extent. He's about to clean the right-hand side of the black to be possible now. But still, it's going to be quite difficult for you to try and get position on the black, with two reds still being on the left-hand side of it. Is he going to try and go for it here, though? Because it seems like he's going to have loads of way for it to try and cover on the cue ball, for it to try and make it onto the pink. He had to play from the black, and it seemed like he found a decent gap there. The cue ball is going to be close enough for the black to be playable. So he's going to have a couple of those reds to try and make it in the mix as well. Has he overcut it? He has overcut it. And once again, has to be looking at the tip there with a bit of concern in his face. It seemed like he's actually managed to do all the hard work, but he knew. And he seems to have said a couple of probably not so nice words there as well as he was walking away. And having a look at his tip, 30 points. He's not going to be enough there to try and keep out of Zhao to have a successful career in this frame. And he probably is going to be set up perfectly for it to be the first chance of taking this final to go all the way in favour of Zhao, because look at those reds, the way they're going to be positioned. A couple of them will still have to be made, you know, in shape of a straight line there of the middle point of the table, but a couple more of those loose reds to have a little bit of a warm-up there, because remember, he would have been the intermission. Zhao, as well as he played, he's still going to have to try and get himself with a clean run first. And he's going to have 5 or so of those reds to try and pot. As I say, Trump managed to make an easy game out of it with the way that he's got Zhao to have the black to be accessible into the left and the right-hand side of the table. Seems to have overplayed for this one, though. As I said, he needed a little bit of a warm-up, and it seemed like the first chance in relation to, winning the frame, he's going to come begging for him, and he will be. So, yeah, he's going to have to try and play a safety shot out of it. So, 14 points behind. It is still going to be very much the open play in relation to those reds. So, it doesn't really change the, the concept of whoever gets himself in with a chance is going to be able to take it. But, of course, Zhao had that chance, and he wasn't able to take this frame over the finish line. Most angry I saw was when missed rest shot last time Higgins beat him. He was, I remember that. Where he was trying to bridge over and take the red into the corner, yeah. Because I was actually thinking about, I haven't seen him that mad for ages, if I haven't actually seen him, if I have seen him to be so mad at a particular point there. I'm pretty sure it was the Players' Championship. May have been the Masters. They always get those two confused because of how, 11 frames to be played in both of them. It may have actually been the... Yeah, you know what? I'm actually going to say it was the Players' Championship because, I feel like the decider of the Masters was a little bit different to it, but... Slapped the table, if I remember well. Yeah, he gave a little bit of a Ronnie and a Carter thing where... Maguire, I should say, not Carter. Where he just slapped the table with his fist. Played a good safety shot there. Although Zhao seems to respond with his great shot. And how well is this going to be? And the answer is really well. In relation to, he's going to have the right-hand side covered up by the green. And the left-hand side to be playable from the cue ball. To try and take this one towards the left corner. And needs to take it very much with care. Doesn't want that kiss on the pink to occur. He has occurred. He put the pink out of the game, which, I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter because the pink was replacing the blue. And now both the pink and the blue are going to be out of position. So what's it going to be on the blue ball spot? The red, the cue ball, or the ball colours For now, it's going to be another safety shot. The camera seemed like it was anticipating a long raid there from Zhao because they probably felt there wasn't one that he's played in a couple of shots or so. But instead, he's managed to come away with a fantastic safety once again. And the crowd clearly got a little bit tired of acknowledging every single moment of brilliance from Xington. But this could well be the one that puts Trump under a little bit too much pressure. And yet, nowhere near enough power on the cue ball. And a potential raid to be taken now into the left corner. Anything but easy, but I genuinely feel like there is going to be a gap for Zhao to try and squeeze the red through, the cue ball through, as he bounces away from those reds. So it seems like he's going to be taking another red away. He seems to have taken the plants. And yeah, as soon as he takes that plant away, you can see that he's got no intention of making that red in. Because of, if he had the intention, he clearly would have taken another red. And still seemed like he's played a really good safety. Got the blue to be the cover point for the cue ball on the majority of those reds. So yeah, he had awkward queuing over the ball. Yeah, that was a bit silly though, because he didn't really need to do anything with the position at that point, and all he had to do was to drop the red in. So you could sense the frustration. But once again, he is absolutely hanging on by the skin of his teeth there, because because of the double kiss that he has, but still allowing that cue ball for the double kiss to be a minor one, and still allowing the cue ball to be rolling to the safe part of the table. And Zhao Xington is finally had enough of those safeties, and he's about to go for an aggressive shot. Didn't make this one in, and gives the turn back to Chomp to try and take his action with the long pot game. This one needs to be cued to perfection, and those type of shots are the ones that you rarely see to be made there, especially if you're not playing well. And it wasn't made this time. Where's the red going to finish? And he's not going to be finished in a playable position there, but the fact that he's putting more and more of those reds to be out of position there probably should be the one helping him, because he finds himself 14 points clear, but I feel like it doesn't really help anyone, because Zhao should still have the ability to try and get those reds to be in a nice position at the table. So I want to see Rocket pass to Hendry, but give Zhao time. He's young. Yeah, Hendry was brutal. Steve H, Hendry and Rocket. Yeah, it's certainly legends there in the Hall of Fame of snooker. But, the thing about Hendry was that, Prime Hendry probably makes it past Prime O'Sullivan. But, the fact that Ronnie had that longevity, in 90, Stephen was unstoppable. Even I know that, as I say. But Sharma seems like he's not going to take any safety here for granted. And he's about to take another red towards the left corner. Just a matter of time until he was going to give an eventual red away there. And now it is going to be a chance for Zhao Xington to be taking this red towards the yellow pocket and try and make it, well, a second chance there. He had the first opportunity where he only scored 16 points to try and make it the frame that counts for him to be the winner. For now, he's about to have the chance number 2. Anything but easy here, because 13 points behind, so many of those difficult reds to be at the bottom part of the table. One at the top is going to be close to the green pocket, but also on the side cushion. The pink, the blue and the black, all to be completely out of position. So for now, it is going to be down to ball colours for him to try and do something with. So just trying to get those points on the board here will certainly help as well. And incredibly weird for you to be seeing a player trying to take it to the bold colours now, because it is going to be their best possible chance to be playing for a colour. And so what's it going to be here for Zhao Xington? 75 points still in this frame. He's about to make it down to 67. He should be taking the shred away. And then he should also have the angle to try and take it down to the green. Seems to have played this shot well, but this could be the chance for him to try and play for the reds at the green pocket there, next to it at least. Try and drop the cue ball to be right in behind the red. And, well, because he needs to be getting the blue or pink to be sorted out there. There's not going to be a value in playing for the bold colours every single time because of how few points you score. But also, he's got 4 really difficult reds to try and make his way. I'm looking forward to snooker tomorrow starts. Yes, it will be the qualifiers of the World Championship. But for now, we're about to have the potential biggest win of his career. Runner-up, certainly. Probably the third. I don't know. I haven't planned that one really well. Of course, it's going to be the third after the UK Championship and after the World Championship. But still, certainly the biggest in terms of the name that he beats is the thing that I meant. He was always going to be the favourite against Mark Williams after the performance that he had against O'Sullivan. As he takes that red well, is he going to have that cue ball to be cannon nicely on towards one of the lower reds? Look at that for a shot, but he still doesn't want to be straight. And I don't know why I'm so excited about it, but he doesn't want to be straight on this one, because that will get that cue ball to be played in the wrong part of the table. So carefully try and take it onto the black. Look at that for a shot. Absolute brilliant there from Zhao. And probably the most difficult part about this black is going to have to, well, 2 points really. He's going to have to be bridging very awkwardly. 80% of the table, 90% of the table certainly, but also trying to play the shot with so much power so that he's going to get that cue ball to be faced on the right side of the red. I mean, listen, at the point where Trump was getting those reds to be positioned badly, I genuinely thought he's making this more difficult for himself. But at that point, I was going to say, there's no way in the world Zhao is going to be able to clear up. And it looks like he's going to need a bigger extension than this. So he's going to need an extension on the cue, and then he's going to have the biggest extension possible there that he needs to try and reach, as I say, 90% of the table. So he could have done with the cue ball being slightly closer towards the black, but to be fair, he does need the angle to try and force that cue ball to have a huge bounce. And yeah, certainly the crowd and Zhao are going to be seeing their funny side of it, because you may as well do that. And never seen anyone so many finals in a row. He's not lost one out of 6 or 7 maybe. Well, once again, he could be doing a little bit of a jinx work, because Trump is going to come back to the table. I didn't think the black was going to be missed, and that total clearance certainly is going to be off there. He needed to play that with power, and unfortunately, he was going to find himself missing out on the black here. So, he's left out the red for Trump. Can he try and take it away with this frame and try and put on a show for the fans? The answer is no. I always say you are so likely to get the red first in because you've been away from the table and you feel like, yes, come on, I'm going to come back, I'm going to be the best. And you always see the players make those type of shots. Not Trump, not today. Just hasn't been his day, unfortunately. And even when he's going to be one more frame for him to win, it's going to be just one of those evenings for him. And unfortunately, taking it all the way to the first session doesn't seem like it has worked in his favour. Surely now, the last 8 shots or so to play for Zhao, unless it is going to be literally handed on a plate there for Trump, where he can't seem to miss those reds. Selby has a good final record too, but he has lost a few now. Well, yeah, but Selby's managed to play so many of those finals. Inevitably, he will lose one. But for now, it doesn't seem like he's going to come on into a championship. He finds himself only 20 points behind from making it to the end of the Tour Championship campaign without being taken any closer than losing out, well, winning by 10 frames to 4. Chris Wakelin, who would have thought that his match against Chris could be the one that has taken the closest to beat Zhao, because now with that red being taken towards the right corner, surely that was the last point where it could have gone wrong for Zhao, and the black still needs to be taken care of. 26 points ahead. The cue ball is going to slow down absolutely perfectly. Well, you have to give a little bit of credit to Trump for him to be getting through to the final. Not a lot of the performance, but look at this. This is going to be history in the making. Zhao, take a bow. You are the legend of Suga, and now you're certainly going to be the Tour Championship winner. By the way, I just want to retract that. The legend of the season and the legend for the performance that he's put in. This was brilliant there from the Cyclone. The world champion of recent year manages to defeat the world champion of 2019. I'll tell you what, if these two would have been playing in 2019, he would have had a really good chance there from Trump to try and make it all the way. But now, it does seem like he's going to have no chance at all of trying to achieve. And it is going to be the biggest defeat of the season there for Trump. Because it's only the 4th time that he's going to lose, the 3rd time I should say, that he's going to lose a match of 1st to 10. And 10 frames to 8 to Mark Selby, 10 frames to 5 to Mark Selby. And now 10 frames 2, 3 to Zhao, and look at that for the finish. Super thin of a cut on the black, and Trump is certainly going to have to say, well done, my friend, you've done really well. I was non-existent, but that was a performance to remember from Zhao, and look at that overreaction for the fans. They certainly have put in a great show there, the players, but you have to give a special shout out to Zhao. He is going to be the 2026 Tour champion, and he's done that in style. Not too many of the frames that he's needed, but in the end, he's about to give out an interview, which, shall we have a listen to Chomp? Oh, he's going to be really fast there, I mean, I'll tell you. Yeah, so, yeah, probably not worth to be doing that, as soon as it's going to be just that thank you for, Watchalong saying that. It's going to be thankful to the crowd. It's certainly big up to the crowd in Manchester, by the way. They haven't quite got their money worth of tickets, but still, at the same time, it is going to be down to 2 hours since the match has got underway again. And, boy, commiserations to Watchalong fans. This was not the final that we're looking for, but Zhao fans, surely it can only go downhill from you, and same can be said about Chomp. Surely you're about to end your horrible Crucible run and make it at least towards the semi or the final appearance for you. Thank you, by the way, for everyone at the stream that has been watching, has been joining you throughout those sessions, throughout the entire championship, throughout the entire season. It is now going to be the best point of the season. In a week time, whether it's going to be, as I say, the exhibition matches in Ireland to be done, we'll have to wait and see. The qualifiers as well. The Crucible is going to be waiting with less than 10 days until the Crucible action is going to get underway. For now, it is going to be all down to congratulations to Zhao. As I said, he wasn't down to Chomp to be the winner, and today's not Chomp Day indeed. Great victory, game over, and yes, Ronnie was brutal at peak, and Henry was a machine, but Rocky was also like that too. He used to play left-handed in tournaments. Listen, it is going to be Zhao story, and you feel like he is going to be the man to come into the Crucible defense, trying to break that Crucible curse. I'll tell you what, he certainly could not have had this one lined up any better, which probably will make it a little bit too sweet. And then, anyway, for him, it's down here. Is he going to be the first round defeat for the third time after Karen Wilson and Luca Brissell had their respective campaigns defeated in the decider over to David Gilbert and Lee Pei-Fan? Who's he going to be to try and challenge the almighty machine of the Cyclone? But not a lot to say on today's session. Just hasn't been Chomp's day. His biggest, probably the best point of him was at the 5th frame, where he was looking potentially for a 3-2 of a gap. Whatever he was wrong with the equipment, whatever he was down to, trying to get himself through to the first session, it wasn't really meant to be. But a huge shout out to Zhao. He managed to make it work for him, winning 5 frames of the bounce at the end. And I tell you, when you feel like you were a little bit disappointed with your performance, he wasn't able to take it as a 6-2 of a win, but he certainly was able to make this match to go the distance for him in his favour. 867 points to be scoring, 425 of those for Chomp, more than twice there, highest break. We haven't seen a century in the final, but that probably was the only thing which was missing from Zhao. Chomp will come back, he'll come back stronger because he came back weaker, and he certainly will be seeing a lot more of him at the Crucible. So once again, for one last time, congratulations to Zhao. He's played superbly well throughout the entire Tour Championship, only lost out 8 of those frames in 3 first attempt matches that he's played. And commiserations to Chomp. He'll be back stronger. How strong can he get before the Crucible campaign? We'll be looking forward. We'll be checking out the performance. But feel free to be supporting the channel by hitting the like on the stream and also subscribing to it. We are going to be back with the action of the Crucible. Feel free to tune into those sessions. They're going to be fun. They're going to be entertaining. And we are going to see the best players of the tour on the 2-year list to try and make it a huge show for the fans at Sheffield. Only one of those 32 players will be the winner. 16 top seeds, 16 qualifiers, 31 losers, but only one can be the champion. And we're about to find out in exactly the month's time who's he going to be there. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you around for hopefully a little bit closer of a contention at the Crucible to be played, as that fantastic Zhao performance is about to end the Tour Championship campaign for him. Once again, thank you for sticking out, and we'll see you at the Crucible action about to be underway very shortly. Stay tuned into the action. Thank you, everybody.
trying to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my fun land. I don't ever want to